Jamie, and welcome to Sci-Fi Vision. Tonight we have quite a bit to talk about. We have Wheel of Time, and followed by Reacher, followed by Nine Bodies in a Mexican Morgue, and then Daredevil Reborn, and whatever else we decide to talk about. But I think that's probably it. If you haven't, please make sure that you subscribe to Sci-Fi Vision and like the video, and you can check out all our other content, of course, on our YouTube. So please, if you haven't, make sure you do that, and also make sure that you join our Discord for watch parties that we have weekly, as well as all our schedule and everything else. I'm putting it in the chat. So, hello, AJ. I guess Karen is running a little bit late here.
So, how many episodes of Wheel have you seen?
2.5. As I told Karen earlier, I was telling her I took a nap earlier. That was why I didn't watch it. I was so sleepy. So I apologize for that. I've had a long day. But there, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, you guys.
Okay, now I got to turn my volume back down. You're loud and he's quiet.
Oh, I'm just a loud person.
No,
Jamie's having technical difficulties.
No, I don't know if it's me or StreamYard, but I give up. But how are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Oh, also, I was incorrect when I said that episode 6 dropped already, or there are 5. Prime got me this time.
Oh, they got you with the upcoming episode.
Yeah. So there's 4. So.
Okay, good.
Well, not quite as far behind then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So next week we'll just have one episode to cover, which will be great because there's a lot to talk about with 3 episodes this week.
Oh my God, so good.
Okay. Hard to believe those words are being said about this show, but wow.
Well, it's funny because Artie and I were talking about it because we just watched episode 4 like an hour ago. And, we got done watching it. We were talking about it, and he was telling me that online, all the book readers were like thrilled with episode 4. Like they absolutely love this season, and that's the thing too, is, as they've all been saying all along, is the first couple of books are rough to get through, but once you get through them, once it starts picking up, it just keeps going. And I think our pickup started about 3/4 of the way through season 2. So I remember up until like the last 3 or 4 episodes last year, we were like, oh my God, when is it going to get better? And then all of a sudden it got better.
Yeah. And I agree. I haven't read the books. None of us have read the books, right? But the online chatter does seem to be that we'll talk about it a little later. And Jamie, you haven't seen episode 4, but it looks like a major book storyline is being launched.
Yeah.
Leave it at that for you. So are we going to talk about this first, or you want to talk about something else first? Okay.
No, yeah, let's do Wheel of Time first. I'll just go out for a little bit when you guys get to the 4th episode.
Well, you only made it halfway through the 3rd episode, right, Jamie?
Yeah, I know. But that's okay. You can spoil me a little bit, and then when you get too far, I'll jump. And I am sorry about that. But I watched the other stuff. It was just that I did not get to finish. But
that's okay. We will cover what we can here. So season 3, episode 2, I can't remember what it was called. I can't remember. A Question of Crimson, right? A Question of Crimson was the name of this episode. And this starts, I think, you guys, just after Rand was like, I'm not going where you guys want me to go. I'm going to the Aiel Wasteland. Right?
Yep. Yeah, that's how the first episode ended.
Yeah.
And so they go trekking off through the desert with Moiraine wearing this weirdly modern straw hat that every time I look at it, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I see that hat in Target all the time.
It's funny.
Modern hat, isn't it?
It's funny as they were traveling, like towards the end, in the second episode, I was like, they went from like, you know, this like medieval garb to everybody wearing jeans and t-shirts.
Yeah, I don't have a picture of Min, but we see her wearing this like white pantsuit throughout these
Yeah.
episodes, also, right? And Lanfear is wearing a pantsuit much of the time, also. I mean, I like it. I like the costuming, but they really added some. They really mixed it up. Less
It's just
Lord of the
funny.
Rings-y.
It's just funny because it's kind of like all of a sudden a culture shock, you know? It's like you're used to seeing this certain style of clothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, when did they get to the 90s?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe the design team.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I've got a little recap up. This episode, I mean, it actually began with like a recap or a flashback to when Morghese became the queen.
I was
And
gonna say, speaking of costumes, there's some great costumes in this part.
oh
Especially
yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know if those are supposed to be. They to me look like it's sort of reminiscent of angel wings, and I don't think she's supposed to be an angel. But
I thought it looked like a heart.
oh yeah, kind of does too. Yeah, kind of.
yeah, it kind of does.
Maybe she's like,
You know what's funny about that is when we get the flashback of Andor and the war, and it's funny the whole time I'm you know looking at the queen, I'm like she looks so you know because they did use de-aging, and I'm like looking at her going she looks so familiar, I can't place her, and then when they get to the White Tower, I'm like, oh my god, it's Olivia Williams.
Yeah,
That's why she looks familiar.
yeah, you can see her, you can recognize her in this one.
Well, yeah,
Much like-
now she's actually her and not de-aged.
Yeah, and
so basically, she killed a lot of people to get there.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, not for nothing. I mean, that's the rule of thumb. You kill anybody that can oppose you in those type of scenarios. I mean, look at Game of Thrones.
yeah,
They kill children.
yeah.
Well, she killed a child too, so never mind.
And anyone who doesn't recognize her, we just covered Olivia Williams as Tula in Dune Prophecy. So if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, that's where we most recently saw her. Although she was in Counterpart,
And she's been around forever.
and she's been around.
I forgot about that.
She's been around in everything forever, and we love her. Yeah. So were you guys expecting the slaughter? I mean, it kind of was.
No, it caught me a little bit by surprise. As she was talking, I kind of, you know, right before it happened, she's like, "You're all forgiven," and I was like, "But," and then I kind of saw that coming. What she said, "You're all forgiven."
Yeah.
You're forgiven, but that doesn't mean you get to live.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Well, that's how she got where she is, I guess.
I guess so, but her daughter Elaine is just so nice. I guess she has no idea, like, that her mom is. Oh, well, I guess she knows, right? Because there's a scene like she knows because there's a scene later where she said when she's like fighting with her mother, and she says like, "That's how you managed to ascend to the throne," or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I mean, a slaughter like that is never really, you know, it's not a good thing. However, I mean, Andor has been at peace for a long time now. I mean, all right. How old's Elaine? How old's Elaine?
Like 20. Yeah.
Yeah. So you figure there's been 20. All right, not a long time, but 20 years of peace because Elaine was a baby when that happened.
She could be younger.
Actually, no, she was. Or was she still pregnant?
Pregnant. She was pregnant.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
even still, 20 years.
She could be like between 15 and 20. Yeah, hard to say. I mean, I think it's a little unclear. They want it to be unclear whether it was Morghese's idea or whether it was Elena's idea, right? This Aes Sedai who's been by her side like the entire time, and she was there, and she seems pretty ruthless, right? And she says later, like, I saw this vision, but I didn't just wait for it to happen. Or I saw this future or something like that, and I didn't wait for it to happen.
I was kind of surprised to find out that she was a seer also.
Bring it forward. Yeah, I didn't expect that at all either. But the Min isn't an Aes Sedai though, right?
No, she's just a seer.
Okay, well, I I guess I didn't expect her to be because she was an Aes Sedai, but I guess it doesn't matter.
That was kind of my thing. I wasn't expecting that because I figure if you're an Aes Sedai, then that's your power. Period. I didn't realize she was also a seer. Not a seer to the extent that Ming is, because apparently Ming gets them a lot more frequent than Adair.
Yeah. So Morghese is all like throwing her weight around because she's all mad. She wants to see her daughter. Right? Turns out she's an Aes Sedai also because Swan is like, bite your tongue when you're in this room. And she has brought her husband, Gabriel. Gabriel? That's how they say it, right?
Yeah, Gabriel. Yeah, I like him. Well, at least I like him so far. I'm sure the other shoe will drop at some point.
Yeah, I liked him. He seems to be a very nice stepfather.
Yeah. He's the king. He's the queen consort.
Yeah, that's what they call him. I think is the queen's consort.
Yeah.
So, him and Elaine seem to have a pretty good relationship.
Yeah.
Better than her and her mother, that's for sure.
AJ, are you all caught up with all these episodes through episode 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm through 3.5, but I think I know what you're gonna say because I'm like, am I confusing something?
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
haven't. Okay, yeah, I'm to
Yeah.
that.
I thought Jamie. I thought you said you're through 1.5.
No, 3.5.
2.5.
I watched 1.5 last week, and I watched 1.5 this week. So I'm halfway.
So you've seen 3 episodes.
Yes.
So you haven't
Wait.
seen any of 4. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen any of 4. Right? Yeah. So I've seen all.
Okay.
Okay. So you finished 3 though.
Not quite, but I saw past what you're talking about. I saw
So
what
you
you're
have-
talking about. I know what you're talking about. I've seen.
Well, this
that.
is an episode 2, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't remember which episode was which. I watched them together. Sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean I liked him. I don't like her 2 brothers, right? The 2 princes have come along, Galad and Gawain.
I don't know which one's which, but I like the younger brother. The
I
older
think
brother, I was so happy when Matt kicked the crap out of them.
I believe that's Galad, the tall, beardy guy who's the half brother, and Gawain, I think, is her brother. One's her brother and one's her half brother.
I thought they're both full brothers.
I'm not even gonna try because I can't remember any of their names. So they're her brothers.
All I know is every time, like when Matt was talking to Ming, and he was like, "Leave the lady alone," and I'm like, "Dude, you have no idea the context of this conversation. Go away."
I guess it's the other way. Gawain is her brother, and Galad is the half brother. Either way, they're basically both her brothers, right? And they're both hot, and all the girls in the tower are all agog over the cute brothers.
Poor Matt. Matt was hooking up. Matt was like wooing that one chick, and then, oh my god, you gotta go see this fight, and then he lost.
Yeah, and he thought she brought another girl, and she's like, "Nope, we're gonna go watch the men." Poor Matt.
Yeah. Yeah, at any rate, everybody is all everybody's all in love with them. They're all cute, and so according to there's some lore in the books that make it important why Elaine's half brother Galad why he's the half brother.
We might learn eventually.
I don't know if it's revealed yet. I guess it's not. But
Well, it sounds like Mom had an affair. I don't know.
Well, okay, you know how she won the throne because somebody else abandoned her husband and abdicated the throne?
Yeah.
And she went to the Aiel Waste and fell in love with a warrior, with an Aiel guy, and whose father is an Aiel?
Jesus Christ.
Rand.
Thank you. I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah. So there's backstory that these 2 guys might be, if the show is going to do it, they could be related. it might not really matter because they don't know each other. So
Yet.
yet, and nothing really happened with this yet. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of ourselves because the main thing in this episode was poor Matt, who, you know, he thought he was the hottest guy in the tower.
And he was for a minute.
Well, yeah, but he's been getting all of his female attention probably because this is not a euphemism, he flashes his horn everywhere.
Which he got in trouble for.
Yeah, she yelled at him for that.
Yeah, that was I enjoyed that especially, where Swan had to take the horn away from little Matt because he can't like stop playing with it.
Yeah, but it's only yours until somebody kills you. So I'm sure that you didn't go out and get your portrait done and holding the horn.
I did think it was very stupid when he was doing it last week.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
I was like, why is he letting her play with the horn?
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of things are launched in this episode. One we talked about a bit is all the stuff with Aleda. How did you guys like her?
I love her.
No, yeah, I like her too. I know.
All
I
right,
didn't.
all right, let me rephrase this.
I
don't trust Aleda. She's clearly up to something, but I love
Shoria Gashlu.
Jorge, yeah. She just chews up every scene she's in. I love it.
Yeah, but she's definitely up to something.
She's definitely up to something. I would go so far. So I always object to us saying this, but I think she's bad. Like, do you think she could be? Do you think she could be a dark friend?
I don't think she's a dark friend, but I think she's just vying for power. She wants to be ahead of the Red Aja, and that's all there is to it. That's her whole goal.
Yeah, and they're not too receptive of her.
And apparently, the only reason that what's Mother's name?
Swan.
The only reason she's Mother is because she left.
Because
rescinded
Aleda
it.
left?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I'm not sure I caught that.
Yeah, Aleda flat out says it to her. She's like, remember why you're the mother and I'm not.
I didn't get that part either. I missed it. Now, she tells Min, and I know this is a little bit later, but that they're going to vote or whatever. That was totally what they didn't agree to do. She didn't even ask them. Or did I miss something there? Because that confused me when she got to that part a little bit.
Well, she did try to call for a vote, right? And she was told you don't have standing to call for a vote. Only like a sitter, right. And you're not a sitter.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure, I guess, if she thinks that they're going to do it anyway, or if she was trying to see if Min told somebody. I wasn't entirely sure.
I think she was just trying to cultivate Min.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, she goes here in this scene, she goes to the Red Aja. I'm not sure if is that in this episode or the next episode.
I'll be honest, episodes 2 and 3 kind of blur together for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure which.
They do kind of blur together. I think this might take place in the next episode. But who cares, right? She goes to the Red Aja and she says, like, now she's asking them to call a vote, right? And they're still like, you're not in charge of us.
Yeah, we don't want to. We're in a. Well, they kind of say they're not in a great place, but they don't want to rock the boat. Is basically what she said.
Yeah, they're in a bad place because their powerful sister turned to the Black Aja, right? So it doesn't look good for them. And they don't want to rock the boat, but Elena's like, look,
I'm just gonna say, speaking of modern clothes, that one on the third one, the one that's on the right, not the right, but the other one, that looks like a pretty modern evening gown too. I noticed.
The two of them, right? The two of them in the center.
They actually kind of both do, the middle ones, yeah.
And minimalist jewelry, right? There's even a comment made like, you're too gaudy for us. I can't wear that jewelry. It's too ostentatious. She says, too gaudy. You keep it.
Yeah, which I think was more just a slight against her than anything else.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
was.
I don't want your gifts. Although the other one took the strawberries, so there you go.
Yeah. But in this shot, she's demanding, like she says, like, I want the Red Aja to take control of the tower once again, so we can like achieve our historical purpose, which is to cage the dragon.
You know what's
Which-
funny?
Yeah.
Is they're all supposed to be on the same side. They're all supposed to be, sisters. And there is so much backstabbing. It's like the Senate.
I think.
It's like the Senate. Well, yeah, and so Leandrin's stated purpose is to cage the dragon, right? Like Leandrin, like,
Yeah.
I mean, she's turned black and a dark friend, but they want to cage the dragon, or maybe they want to kill the dragon. I don't know. And the red, apparently the red, their purpose was always to cage the dragon. Although I thought like everybody wanted, I thought all the Aes Sedai wanted to cage the dragon.
Yeah.
That was their like main deal, I thought. But like since Mother Suan has decided not to cage him, and everybody else kind of went along with it, like I don't know, I just feel like this is like
That's
maybe-
the problem, though. What you just said, like they're all sort of just going along with it because of what happened in the tower. Like I don't know how long that is going to last. I wouldn't be surprised if they did vote to change it.
And the thing is, because of all the infighting, that's what allowed Leandra to amass her team of followers.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
There's so much unrest in the White Tower right now. And it's not getting any better because there's going to be, now Aleda's here and she's going to cause more trouble because she just wants power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
I don't
like,
know if she really cares about the dragon at all. I mean, I think she more just wants to be in charge more than anything.
yeah.
Well, I think there might be some truth to it because it all depends on what she believes about the dragon.
Yeah, that's true. What was and maybe this just wasn't explained yet, but with her hand that was shaking, that seemed important.
Oh, that was just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, clearly she's got something's not right with her.
And she's very upset about it because she like
Yeah.
smashed everything off the desk like 1 minute before Min walked in, right?
Yeah, she's she might be sick,
So you think it's more she's sick than something to do with the dark or whatever? That's because that's.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think she's sick, but I think it might have. I don't know how the Aja work, but it might be something to where at a certain point, after you get to a certain age, maybe you lose your powers.
Maybe.
Oh, I don't know.
Type of way,
That's interesting.
Some of them are older.
Well, they age, the Aes Sedai age so slowly. Remember how in previous episodes, like Maureen is so much younger looking than her baby sister, because one of the things about becoming Aes Sedai is the slowing down of your age.
Yeah, you age.
That's why they don't have to de-age Torag Dashlu in that scene that took place 20 years earlier.
She might be a lot older than we think she is.
Yeah. She could be really, really old, right? But it does. So maybe it's an illness, maybe not. But
that was just my first take.
First, I thought it was the bracelet she had on, and then I was like, "No, that's not what that is." It's the way they filmed it.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
That scene where she shows that she's got like the tremor in her hand. All that happens with Min, where Min comes in and immediately she's like, "Oh, I checked you out. You're a seer." I mean, so do you think so? Min kind of believes that she just sees things, but she's sort of just like
you can't change it.
Yeah, like she's like a screenshotter. She just sees it and can't change it.
Yeah.
Whereas Aleda, like, took action, right? She thinks it's a sign to take action. Like
Yeah.
this is where she says, like, I saw this vision and I didn't just let it happen. I didn't just
I
wait.
made sure it did.
I made sure it happened, right?
Yeah, because they don't know when it's going to happen either. So
Right.
they can
Well, that's the problem with Ming. Ming is like is kind of useless. You know, she tells Mother, "Yeah, I saw more dead Aes Sedai." And
It could be 10
when?
years.
She's like, "When? I don't know. It could be tomorrow. It could be a week from now. 10 years from now. I don't know." I'm like, what the fuck is the point then?
Yeah.
Like, you're pretty. So let's be on guard for the next 10,000 years because one of these days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it differs a little what we see later with the Aiel have a seer also, right? The Aiel
Yeah.
have a seer, and they have sort of a different idea that you could see many possibilities of the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they all have sort of a different take on it. Okay, so meanwhile, back at the tower, the Emerald Seat has sent our two little heroines on a mission. What do you guys think about that?
It makes perfect sense. Nobody would suspect them. Like,
Yeah.
everything Mother said was true. Nobody would suspect them, So the perfect people, and the only ones that she can actually trust because they were in danger. She knows they're not black.
Yeah.
But
can they protect themselves is the biggest problem if something goes wrong.
Do you really think nobody would
I don't know about naive, but Elaine can protect herself.
Yeah, Elaine can.
I know that I get it that she can trust them because they were kidnapped and sold into slavery and whatever and helped Rand, that Suan can trust them. But do you really think nobody would suspect them?
On a TV show?
I mean, they're the two.
Probably not.
They're the teacher's pets, the two of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes and no. I get what you're saying.
Well, no, because I guess she's rushing to go in the Arches or whatever it's called because she's leaving anyway. So,
I mean,
I wonder why, but
I wonder if they're really gonna. I don't know. I wonder if kind of the point of this was to just set it up for Elaine to have to go against her mother, and her mother's like, "You have to come home," and she's like, "No, I have to stay here. I'm very I want to complete my training," and also an excuse to put her through the Arches. Which it's so funny when Nynaeve went through the Arches, it was like a big dramatic thing that we saw how traumatic it was. And then Egwene goes through it and we see only a little bit of it. And now Elaine goes through it and we see zero of it.
Yeah, I know. It's like it gets easier and easier. And that's the other thing too, is that this was supposed to be this thing they had to train and train and train through. And they're just rushing everybody through to get it done when they need it.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Well, I feel like when Nynaeve went through, it was to show us what it is. And I think when Egwene went through, they only showed us part of it because they don't want us to see the results. They don't want us to, that's something they're going to drop on us later. I think we didn't see Elaine because we don't need to see it because it's not that important for her.
They make it like it's such an important passage and it's such a hard thing to pass. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're going to rush you through, even though you didn't get all your training to go through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't read the books. It's possible they do a lot of detail in the books and we just don't
have the TV time.
It doesn't make good TV for us to have just like on Game of Thrones, they didn't detail every single feast after the first one or, do the battles in such detail. Maybe we only did it once to understand it's traumatic for everyone, but we don't need to see it for every girl who goes through it. But Jamie's right. It's supposed to be a thing they train and train and train for. And I think they get 3 chances. And now all these kids are being rushed through.
So I don't know. What do you do now? Go through.
Yeah. I mean, these two are supposed to be very powerful, the most powerful novices in the building, right?
Nynaeve ain't power nothing right now.
She has some kind of a block, right?
Yeah, I think she's got to be psychosomatic or something because it just doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. But like Egwene, I got, but like doing a third person and shoving them through that quick, which just to me was a little funny because they did make such a big deal out of. They had to, they had to get their full training first, and now
Yeah.
everybody's like taking shortcuts.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they're at a time of war, so
Yeah, but they could technically get them killed shoving them through that, at least according to what they said before. Like it could
yeah.
end up
Well,
with them dead if they shove them through too fast. And I'm saying shove them through, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
I'm
So,
Yeah.
that picture there is important because they figure out what the important artifact they stole was.
Oh yeah, the bracelet.
Yep.
Oh
And she-
yeah, that like wrist thing.
No,
Yeah.
is it supposed to be have the same powers though, or it's just similar? Because it seemed like they were saying it looked like that, but they didn't say it was actually one of those. I was
Well,
looking
there's two of
for.
apparently they realized that there's a set and that they figured out that it's in Leandra's hometown.
They might have figured out, and that might be in the next episode. They figure out that there must be a collar to go with it, right?
It's at the same place. At the same time they find that paper.
Yeah, it's all that's all in the same scene.
Because they say
Oh,
that's
okay.
why they're going to go there to look for the collar. Because
Yeah.
they say that they know those two women lied to them, and they finally have the smart idea. Well, maybe they completely lied, and anything they said was wrong, and we need to look for the opposite.
Yeah,
was
they
wondering
said
why
they
didn't
said
do
we
that
shouldn't
earlier.
worry about what they said. We should think about the stuff they didn't say.
Yeah, and they didn't mention this. So this is why we have people going in different directions.
Yeah.
So,
Also makes for a better TV show than when everybody's together.
Yeah.
yes and no. When they make too many groups and they keep them separated too
Well,
long,
yeah.
too much.
It depends on the
But
show. It depends on the structure of the show and how long they're apart. Like there's been some shows where we get pissed off because our people are apart the whole time and they get together for the last episode.
Yeah.
Which I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of the last show that pissed us off with that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So speaking of them, that we also had Team Perrin, that they ended up going back to their hometown in the Two Rivers, right?
Yep.
And Egwene's mother is like, "Oh, the White Cloaks are here. You better hide in the attic," which I think is the majority of what happens to them in this episode, right? The White Cloaks are around, and the White Cloaks are really pissed at Perrin for killing that guy last season.
Which he was totally justified for doing.
He killed Hopper the Wolf.
Yeah, the guy was a bad guy. The White Cloak that he killed.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy. I mean, that guy deserved it, but that doesn't mean the rest of the White Cloaks are going to back off. And they're really after Perrin, right?
Yeah.
And Perrin's like, okay, I'll give myself up. And then it turns out that Alana, the other Aes Sedai, Alana, who has totally like changed her appearance since her one. Remember, she had 2 warders, and Ivor was killed.
Yeah,
saving her. Yep.
Saving her, yeah. And
now, I'm assuming those are supposed to be his ashes from what they said that's on her face. They didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because when her and Perrin have that conversation when he goes to see his wife's tree blossom thing, she explains that her people wet the ashes and wear it on their face.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think they're a little suspicious though? Like nobody knows really where they've been since that happened. I mean,
I don't think they're suspicious. I just think it was they needed to get away, and why they end up in the Two Rivers, I don't know. That I can't figure out. But I mean, it makes sense that they took off.
It does make sense they took off. They, they're not supposed to be able to get through the gate without an ode gear, but anyway, I don't know. I guess we'll find out more about them. And then we had our other group. We had Team Rand that headed off to the desert. That I don't know. That I feel like this storyline took up most of these 3 episodes, and maybe it didn't need to. There's a lot of, or maybe it's important, like lore and world building that's happening here. But it was a lot, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot happened here, especially since that first night when they're sleeping and everything, Rand keeps dreaming of well, not dreaming, but he in his dreams he keeps hanging out with Lanfear.
Yeah.
But the big thing that we learned was that Egwene's nightmares are being manifested by Lanfear. Like she's not really seeing what's her face that was in the cell.
Yeah, I want to know more about that. That was my question too.
There should be no question. I mean, we see Lanfear turn into her in the dream.
Yeah, and I guess it's in episode later. It's either in episode 3 or 4 where the older seer lady, Bear, I think is her name. She says, "Look, if you're coming out of your dream with actual bruises, that person is alive. Like, if a person can hurt you in their dreams, then they're a living person," which Lanfear is, right?
Maybe not the living person you think they are, is what she should have added.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but she doesn't know that because she doesn't know what her dream is.
Yeah.
Other than Egwene ending up in the old lady's dream. She's like, "You don't belong here." And Egwene's, "That's the woman from my dream." And she's like, "You were in my dream, sweetheart."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
But I think that, that's, and it makes perfect sense what Lanfear is doing because she wants Rand for herself.
Because she's in love with the dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we move on to the next episode, did you guys catch when Gabriel was introduced, how at first nobody could remember his name? Like he comes in with Queen Morgaze and he's introduced, and the Amberlin's right hand woman, her name is, I forget her name, Lyanna, I think. Lyanna. She says, like, introducing Queen Morgaze, introducing, Aes Sedai, Elena Sedai, and introducing Lord, oh, forgive me, my lord. And he's like, "Oh, Lord Gabriel," right? And she couldn't remember his name. And then Elaine sees him and she, for a second, is like, "Oh, Gabriel." Like, everyone sort of is surprised to see him for an instant before they're like, "Oh, yeah, you're the best. We're so happy you're here."
Yeah.
I didn't really catch. I caught that. I didn't catch that with Elaine.
Then I caught it. I mean, now that you're saying that, yes, but obviously there's a reason for that.
I mean, I definitely caught when why do I block against her name? Lyanna. I definitely caught when she didn't know his name, which was a little weird because they've been married for 10 years, right? And they knew they had at least 10 minutes notice that they were coming to be like, "Okay, here's everybody's name, you got to introduce," right? It was a little, it stood out in that one scene.
Yeah.
But I didn't really think anything about it, right?
Until Elaine.
Right.
Which I didn't catch that with Elaine.
No, I didn't catch it until after.
Maybe she was surprised that he was there.
Yeah, right. Maybe it seemed like she was just surprised that she was there, but then I caught up on it a little later, right? Yeah. Because now we learned who he really is in this next episode.
Yeah, he's one of the Forsaken.
He's a Forsaken.
Yes, and he inserted his memory that he's in love with her and she's in love with him, and inserted in her memory that. Yeah. And anybody who meets him, that they just think that he was there this whole time.
We saw this scene where Lanfear, why is this not working? Lanfear met with these two other Forsaken who were named why is this happening? Samuel, the starry guy, and Robin. And lo and behold, it's Gabriel as Robin. Yep. And so
I was like, isn't that the same actor? I hate when they do that though. And you're like, wait, I'm confused now. Did I mix up somebody? And they're like, no, I didn't. Okay, good.
Yeah.
No, at first I was a little confused.
Yeah. And while Gabriel seems to be just like a totally like normal guy, Robin's superpower is like glamoring you. I'm not really sure what they call it. But he basically puts a glamour on people to make them think that they know him, right?
Yeah, he's been there for whatever it was, 10 years or something by her side.
Yeah. Which is why when he shows up, Lyanna's like, forgive me, and can't remember his name for a second. And everybody for like an instant, like, doesn't know who he is because he's like making them all. He's playing so they were on the Forsaken were only released like 1 or 2 months ago, right?
Something. But even
I'm not
Elaine,
sure. I'm not really sure about our time frame, but it might have been how long everything's been happening. But yeah, quite recently.
Yeah.
but even Elaine thinks she spent lots of time with them. They
Yeah,
have that
Yeah.
conversation that they're always drinking.
yeah. She has an entire history with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says they've been madly in love for like more than a decade. And he knows everything about them, he thinks, right? So I don't know what his we don't know what his motive is here. I mean, he's a Forsaken. And according to a few little things I read online, he's one of the most powerful Forsaken. He's one of the most powerful channelers in the world ever, except for like Rand.
Well, the three of them are supposed to be pretty powerful, like Lanfear, him, and Samael.
Yeah. Robin's even stronger, I think, than Lanfear. Actually, his power they call compulsion, not glamour. They call it compulsion, I think, in these books.
Yeah.
He compels you to think stuff. So it's not clear what he wants. He does, part of his backstory is that he does love beautiful women, and so he has installed himself with this beautiful queen, right? Is he working in the service of the Dark One? Is he like all these Forsaken seem to have their own little
agendas,
right? Like Lanfear, she's totally not with the program. She's all about the dragon, right?
Yeah. Well, she's playing both sides, and I think they know it too.
Yeah,
well,
she's not.
Well, they absolutely know it because at the end of that scene, the spider lady comes out.
Yeah,
I forgot her name.
Moghedien comes out. Yeah.
And Robin's in league with her, so
yeah. But when I say she's not with the program, I mean Lanfear isn't really like the Dark One's needs are not her primary goal. Like saving Rand is her primary goal, right? And so Robin, like, does he want to be the king? Did he place himself next to the Queen of Andor because he wants to be king of Andor? Like, does he want to? I don't know. It seems like they all enjoy being released from bondage and just want to like have some fun and do their own thing more than they want to like bring about whatever the Dark One's goal is.
Well, I mean, Lanfear flat out thinks she might have a way to take out the Dark One.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if everybody really wants to go there, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
the goals of the Forsaken is a little cloudy, but they all, except for Lanfear, all agree on one thing, that they want to kill Rand because he's always the troublemaker.
Yeah.
Through history.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's the most powerful. If he can just learn how to.
You know what I don't get though? All the Forsaken have all their memories and everything. But why does the dragon keep getting reborn and not remember anything from the past?
Oh yeah. Nobody does. Like Matt has all those new memories that came up, right? And he can't like integrate them or deal with them. They're driving him nuts.
Well, that's a little different. I mean, Matt has the memories of every person that's ever blown the horn,
Yeah. They're not his past lives. Like Rand has all these past lives, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, this was the hugest reveal of these first episodes, don't you think?
Yeah, that and Matt kicking the Andor boys' butts.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't expecting Matt to win that fight, but I knew he wasn't going to back down.
Yeah. No, I guess he has like all the skills of previous hornblowers, right? And that's where that came from.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that's where it was going to go.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't mention about when we were talking about Perrin, the White Cloaks are actually setting a trap for him by taking Mac's family.
Oh, right. That happened. We see that now in the second episode that they have
His
they're taking
mother
Matt's
and
mother
sisters.
and sisters, right?
Yeah.
And they've got them in this little like horse cart cagey thing, and the mother's like, "I'll die before I let you touch them," and that's sort of the end of where we see her, right?
Yeah. Karen gives
This
that great speech about everybody staying and fighting.
Yeah. I mean that is that's a slow moving piece of the plot. Perrin has been the slowest moving piece of the whole show,
Yeah.
I think, right?
Yeah. And now he's got his new friend, the Dagger Hawk.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So question that I was thinking about in this episode, and as you were talking about Egwene, is she here? Where is she?
Yes.
Which
Yeah,
group
sure.
is she in?
She's in
Here
the
she
right
is. So she also is a dream walker, right? Like it's not just that Lanfear is walking in her dreams. She also is a dream walker, I think, right?
Yeah, that's
That's
the gist I got from the old lady. What are they called again?
She's the wise one. Yeah. So I don't think that lady went into Egwene's dream. I think Egwene actually went into her dream.
No,
And
that's what she says. She tells her, she's like, "I wasn't in your dream. You were in mine." She flat out says that. And
yeah.
Egwene's like, "Wait, what?"
You weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah. She just gets more and more powerful every episode, right? Like she if Rand weren't the dragon, I would think maybe she's the dragon. Because she has like more and more, she becomes more powerful.
I still think she's the key to everything.
Yeah. I mean, right? There's just more and more to her all the time. And she's getting cooler and cooler. I mean, we'll see because Nynaeve, I think when she finally blows, she's going to be super powerful also, right? Like when she finally is unleashed. And Matt, if he could get all of his personalities under control there, he would have a lot of great skills. I don't think he has any powers, right?
Why do we think Ming followed them?
Why she went with them when they left?
No, she didn't go with them. She followed them.
Oh, so there could be a couple of reasons. She could be maybe worried about Matt because she betrayed him and she needs to make it up to him. I don't know. Or could it be that the Amerlin sent her to follow them?
Or it could have something to do with Aida.
Oh, Aleida sent her? Like she's already like given up her she's already changed allegiance?
It seemed weird that she was like hiding in the shadows and then followed them as opposed to just approaching him and be like, "Hey, can I come?"
Yeah.
Who's mad at
Which,
her?
by the way, we have a secret mission.
What? Hello?
I can hear you. I don't know. He got like all garbly for a second and then I didn't hear anything else.
I think Min went and because she saw didn't her vision she saw Matt she saw Matt's death, right? She saw Matt hanging from a noose.
Sorry, I lost you from it there because my dumbass, I was grabbing something and I closed the top of my laptop just enough that it turned it off for a second.
Well, that would make sense why I went go garbly first and then went out. I wondered. I'm like, that was a weird noise.
I was like, God damn it.
That's okay.
I mean, she AJ, she saw a vision of Matt's death again, right?
Yeah.
Like she's seen yet another vision of Matt's death. And so I think that's why she followed. Like, is she following Nynaeve and Elaine or is she following Matt?
I'm not sure. That's why I was asking what you guys thought because
I don't know. I think she's following Matt, but I like your idea that maybe she's already flipped and Aleida sent her. Although I don't think that Aleida has been long enough to be suspicious of Nynaeve and Elaine.
True. What was I gonna say? Oh, by the way, when you have a super secret mission, don't tell Matt. Just say, "Hey, come with us." Don't tell him what
Oh,
you're doing.
yeah.
He's standing
Oh,
in the middle. He's sitting in the middle of the town, screaming, talking very loudly about where they're going.
yeah.
And I'm like, dude, shut up. Like,
He's a big dummy. He's really has learned nothing, right?
but he's fun.
He's such a
Oh, and they're going to Tenchico. That's what the name of the place is.
oh yeah, which is Leandra's hometown, and a bunch of crazy shit happens there, right?
Yeah.
I
She
have
ain't
a
fucking. She had a very hard childhood, apparently.
yeah. Apparently, she was like we'd heard before that she was forced to be married when she
At
was
like
very
13.
Yeah, I didn't
13.
see that part. That was like creepy.
So married men like kept in the basement as a sex slave, basically, right?
Yeah.
And that's when she had her baby or got pregnant with her son, right?
Yeah.
And so she shows up in her hometown,
And finds out that her well, at least her husband's I think great grandson, something. Anyway, is taking another child bride, and she's like, nope,
Not today.
not gonna happen. Although
Yeah.
she erases the poor girl's memory, but I guess she thinks that's better because she won't remember any of the bad stuff that happened, I guess.
Yeah, she's so she kills every single person there, right? Because like her husband slash child molester rapist, apparently his descendants continue to practice this, right? It was kind of a good scene.
And she's like, don't hold back, and they just massacre everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think you're right. Like erasing that kid's memory was kind of like, I don't know. Was it too much? Was it like?
I feel like that was more
Maybe
for herself than for
her
the child.
choice. Yeah, because it should have been her choice at least. I mean, she didn't seem very upset. They weren't like hiding from her they were going to do it, but yeah, they could have at least asked.
Yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying though. I feel like that was more for Alondro's.
I agree.
For Leandra, yeah.
There, I think she was kind of like, this girl's probably gone through a lot of shit, and I know how bad it was, and like she would have wanted that to happen. So it wasn't. I don't think she was doing it necessarily out of a selfish reason, but yeah, I think it was.
I feel like it was a selfish reason because she's like, she was basically saying, I know I would have preferred this.
Right,
So
but it's kind of like
she must
nobody
too,
would do it for
but she
her.
didn't ask the girl if she wanted it. You know what I mean?
No, I know, and I'm saying
Yeah.
she's wrong, but I think she's kind of like, I went through all this pain, and there was nobody there to do that for me, so I'm going to do it for somebody else. That's why I'm saying I don't know that she did it for.
But are you doing it for them when you don't even ask them?
No, she's totally not. I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, I don't
very
think
selfish.
she did it to hurt the girl. Is that maybe that's a better way to say it than selfish?
Yeah.
She was trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, it's not
Yeah.
a good thing.
Meanwhile, this is where we get the part that Jamie, you mentioned their real purpose is to try to find the collar that goes with the bracelet, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out it's designed to shackle a man, and they want to use it to cage the dragon. Right? And did you see the servant in the background?
That was peeking through the doorway.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was her though.
Yeah, I noticed.
I
Yeah.
didn't know who it was. I couldn't tell. But yes,
The bowl cut is the dead the bowl cut bun is the dead giveaway.
I think your team is bigger than mine. I can tell that. I saw a person. I couldn't tell. But
Yeah.
After that massacre, though, I think is pretty much where I stopped. I think.
Oh, okay.
I
But I think you saw most of it because the rest of it was really taking place over in Desert Town. In
I
Aiel.
saw when they found the people that had all been killed there. I saw that part.
Yeah, and AJ, that doesn't go anywhere in the next episode. So I don't like. What do you think?
Yes, it does. Because they bury their own and move on.
Yeah, but like that's not like. I mean, what was the point of that, right?
I think that was just to give us the first glimpse of their belief system.
All right, so
that's how I took it, at least. Because honestly, I kind of forgot about it after it happened. with everything else that goes on in episode 4.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to show us that they're like warring tribes.
Yeah.
That they don't.
Because that's why they didn't make a big. That's why they didn't make a big deal about it. They were like, "All right, these things happen." You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not our problem there. Is this the episode, Jamie? Did you see the sweaty sweat lodge scene?
No, that was.
I saw the very beginning.
Oh, was that in 3?
I was kind of in and out because I was trying to fix StreamYard. I did see.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then Land sees the woman with the tattoo on her back of his people.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
They said she was looking at the opposite person.
I have a question. I asked Artie and he couldn't remember. He didn't think so. But he also just like rolls his eyes at me when I mention these type of things. Has this show always had nudity in it? Because I was surprised by it because I didn't think it was that kind of show.
We're not even sure.
Because I was like, wait a minute. I was like, has anybody been naked in this show before? Like, isn't this like PG-13?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that it makes a difference,
There
but
was a lot of nudity and a lot of sweatiness.
I just thought it was funny because, you know.
If there's been nudity in the show, it's not common, right? This is not a
yeah, no, I don't remember seeing any. That's why it caught me by surprise.
So that woman who her name is Melindra, the blonde woman who is giving everyone the eye, right? Lon's like, she's looking at you, Moiraine, and Moiraine's like, no, she's looking at you, Lon.
Yeah, poor Moiraine. I thought she was finally going to get some.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out she stands out as a blonde because all Aiel are redheads until they old ladies, their hair turns white. All Aiel are redheads, and like Rand is a redhead. So it's like another foreshadow. It's another piece of him having an Aiel father, I guess. But yeah, it turns out that Blondie Melindra is from Land's kingdom, and she had like fled when she had to flee the Blight, right? She fled the Blight.
Yes.
Yeah. It was overall a very flirty episode, and a very sweaty episode. Right?
They were so funny. She's like, they're making it hotter.
Yeah. People were not enjoying this. That's how I feel when I go in a sauna or a steam room, and I'm like, I can only stay for like 5 minutes, and then I can't breathe anymore, right?
Yeah.
And
it's good.
And meanwhile, the Aiel are like, yeah, we don't like. There's no water there. They don't bathe in a tub. This is how they like.
Right. I
don't know, cleanse their pores or whatever, right? It's by going in the sweat lodge, everybody all naked together. So anyway, good, but a little. This one drag. I mean, I guess after the big giveaway, the big reveal about Robin / Gabriel, the rest of it was a little. I don't know. This slogging through the desert now. We're only like. We had a lot of slogging to get out of the desert previously, and now we're slogging back into the desert in this one.
You know,
right?
It's funny. Artie reminded me something I said in season 1. I completely forgot until he said something, but I once referred to the first season with them just walking around everywhere as Lord of the Rings, but more boring, which if that's possible.
Well,
it was at the beginning, but
season 1. Season 1.
Yes, not now. Before.
Yeah. I mean, there's the danger of Jamie's point that you've got so many
characters you can't keep track of them.
There's like 50 named characters who I can't remember or pronounce a lot of their names if they're not on screen enough for me to remember their name, right? And every one of them is looking for a different MacGuffin, / magical object / prophecy / something, right? And they all have to find these things and then somehow get back together. But it all looks so good.
You know what I like about, and one thing I love about this show with the prophecy is everybody's prophecy interpretations are different, which is great because that's the thing about prophecies. You know, it all depends on who's deciphering it. It's kind of like the works of Nostradamus. You know, depending on who's deciphering his quatrains, everybody has a little bit different look on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about these prophecies.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like their prophecy about the dragon is that he's supposed to save them but destroy them. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that means because I don't think it's literal, you know? No prophecy ever is.
Well, yeah, like the where is his picture? The Aiel, so like the Aiel say he will destroy them and save them, or save them and destroy them. Whereas everybody else, the non-Aiel, they say he will save them or destroy them, right? Like it's a subtle turn on the similar prophecy. It's kind of cool. But I also have to say, I just really like the good-looking people and the awesome costumes and the incredible landscape. It's very Lord of the Ringsy, especially when they're on these gorgeous landscapes and scenery and trees and deserts and villages and all that. Also, right? I mean, the production quality is quite high.
It is.
It looks like a. I mean, it
looks like they put the money into it. They did.
Yeah. I don't know what the budget is, but it's the most expensive show is the Lord of the Rings thing that we hate, right? The Rings of Power. But this looks just as good. I mean, they say that this budget was small compared to Lord of the Rings, but still bigger than anything else on the network, anything else on Amazon, right? Yeah. So one more episode ran after this, Jamie, which you didn't see, I guess, right?
No, that's okay. You guys can talk about it. I'm just getting recaps up for the next shows.
Okay, so when we get into episode 4, I can't remember. Okay, the test that Rand has to go through, AJ, they have to go to a place called Rudine. Is that how you say it?
I guess.
I'm just going to call it the test, right? It's sort of like a magical, it's a place, but he's going to go through like a psychic kind of a test, right? It's like an ancient city, maybe. And there are 3 rings, which we see those 3 rings behind Moiraine. That actually is in this place that he's going to in the Aiel Wasteland, right? So we get to Rand like getting there and having to like request from the elders, like formally request to be allowed in there, I guess is what, right? Is that a decent
anybody that goes in has to get a request from the elders to go in, and they say yes or no. And then there's that pig-headed guy, which I'm not really sure what the point of him was. He's like, I'm going to go in next, and they're like, no, you're not. He's like, you're not. He goes, you don't get to go unless your brother comes back dead.
Yeah. And so the wise ones have all been in there, right? Like in order to become a wise one, you have to go in there and like deal with your past, see visions of your past. And if you survive, it's a lot like the Arches, right? These communities are so similar because the Aes Sedai have to go through 3 arches, and the wise ones have to go through the 3 rings. And if you're the Karakaran, you'll come out with a dragon tattoo. 2 of them, right? One on each arm.
Yeah.
And that means you will destroy them and then survive them and then save them. which I guess is the same as the final battle, maybe. I don't know. So this is a very like hero's journey kind of a thing that's going on, right? And so they get there, and
well, first, what's her face goes through, and she doesn't
Yeah.
want to. It's like, I'm a warrior. She's like, I don't want to go through it. I don't want to be an elder. And they're like, tough shit. You're going.
like, and apparently, like she knew it all along, and she like ran off to go find Rand, right? Like she's been
Yeah.
sort of AWOL this whole time that she was supporting Rand.
Yeah, she was trying to prolong it as long as she could.
Yeah. And so finally the jig is up, and she's gonna have to suck it up and become a wise one. And so she goes ahead, right? She's like, all right, I gotta go to the ring, I gotta go into the test, and I'll be back before you know it. And she's ready. So then Rand is like, can I go? And they're all like, yeah, you can go. And Maureen wants to go with them, which Rand has been very like, Maureen, get off my back throughout these episodes, right? He's not like, he doesn't trust her, right? He keeps saying things like, you've never done anything for me. You're only trying to control me. You're,
Yeah.
He's a whiny baby, isn't he?
At times, yes.
Yeah. I think he's a very whiny baby. So they get in there, and
all hell breaks loose. Well, the thing about her going in though is like when she requests to go in, they're like, you weren't even supposed to know about it. And she's like, yeah, well, I know. And they're like, well, to be fair, we had a vision that you go in. So
oh yeah. That's right. They were like, oh, we
knew you were always the one.
We had a vision that you were gonna be the one to go. And so so we'll go along with it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed that whole part. I mean, everything like it was really cool to see Rand's history backwards. Now,
Yeah.
I have a very important question to ask though.
Yeah.
Did we know that Lanfear used to be an Aes Sedai?
No. I
Okay.
mean, I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either. So that I even said it to Artie. I'm like, wait, they're talking about this mural. I wrote it down. I don't remember where. Miri.
Miri.
They keep talking about this. They mention a couple times in his history about this Aes Sedai Miri, and then right before we find out, she's like, when we see the Aes Sedai, when his one ancestor gets the pearl-looking thing, the Aes Sedai says, she's like, what are we doing? Why are we trusting them? And she's like, because we owe it to them, because Miri, opened the portal and killed all their people. Don't forget she used to be an Aes Sedai and goes by Lanfear now. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of huge. Yeah.
That's a huge, and then the next scene the next past we see her as an Aes Sedai talking to him right before she actually did that.
Yeah. That was
oh, so I gotta tell you this has nothing to do with the show, but really funny conversation between me and Artie. So, we keep talking about the hero's journey and everything, and something happened, and I was like, I was like, well, he does look like Hayden Christensen after all. And when we get to that scene with that big like golf ball in the sky, I said, look, it's the Death Star.
There's a cultural touchstone for everything, huh? I'm trying to
Yeah,
get a picture of this thing while we're talking about it.
But
I just
yeah,
wanna
I mean,
size it up real quick.
I just found that whole thing so interesting and learning about why why they have just the spears and they don't believe in weapons and swords and everything. And I just thought the whole thing. But I did have one argument with his one ancestor who killed that guy. I was like, it was self-defense. He didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is some strong beliefs there where the mother is like, "Sir, stranger, would you please leave? You have the face of, I used to have a son and you remind me of him." I was like, that is some cold shit right there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty, I mean, it was pretty, yeah. This was like the best episode probably of the season, right?
And from what I understand, the book nerds, they absolutely loved this episode.
Oh yeah.
Like this is huge in the books. Like the show has taken liberties and changed some order. From what I understand, they've changed the order of things and they've expanded characters and kind of shrunk. They've done a lot of changes to make it more TV savvy. But I guess this right here was like straight out of the book.
Yeah. And people have been waiting for that. And it must be pretty cool to have read these books and like have in your mind what you think it all like looks like or whatever. And then you see a thing like this, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's like just what I imagined, or that's nothing at all like I imagined it, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was pretty I mean, I guess this is what people are waiting for, right? I mean,
so the Moraine stuff was crazy. I love the visuals though of everything, her seeing all these different alternatives on how things can play out.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty cool. Sometimes you see her killing the dragon, sometimes you see her bowing down to the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the most telling thing was all those scenes where Lanfear is slitting her throat or stabbing her, or but like all those ways we saw, like I didn't see one time that she didn't die in one of those scenes, which leads me to believe Moraine is destined to die before this is all over.
Well, Lanfear like kills her like a million times, right? Like keeps killing her. Although, like in some of them, like she like Moraine and Lanfear are lovers, right?
But she tries to kill her.
But she tries to kill her in other time, and
while they're having like lovers, and she starts choking her, and not in a fun sexual way.
Yeah. And all of these are this is like a multiverse of madness kind of thing where
possible
all of these are possible.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if they just didn't show us the one time that Moraine actually doesn't die, but all those that we saw, she died in every one of them.
But none of them have to come to pass. But one of them is not even definite. Just some are more likely than others, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like in Avengers Endgame when not Endgame, the one before that. When Strange tells Stark, he's like, in all the millions of possibilities I saw, we only win once.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like what this was like.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't even see that once where she didn't die.
Yeah. I mean, it was really different from Rand's, but right before Rand goes in, when he's like requesting to go in, and somebody says to him, maybe Bale says to him, somebody says to him, in order to lead, you have to know your past. Something like that, right? So he sees his father, he sees like, how about the part that the Aes Sedai built Rudine, the ruined city where this test is taking place, was built by the Aes Sedai. And
then and of course there's the Tree of Life, which first thing I said as soon as I saw it, I said to Artie, and they actually called it the Tree of Life. I was like, look, another Tree of Life. Remember back when Snowpiercer?
Yep.
And like three other shows we were watching all had the Tree of Life.
Yeah. And Rand's father chopped it down.
No, it was.
Oh, that was a different tree that he chopped down?
It was Maureen's uncle that chopped it down.
No, it was Maureen's uncle who chopped it down?
it was Moraine's uncle. That's oh yeah, because they've been connected since before he was born.
Yeah.
Her uncle's the one that chopped it down, and that scene we see with his father having slayed the betrayer or the oath breaker was Moraine's uncle that he killed.
Right. Although the Oathbreaker, like the Aiel, okay, they're the Oathbreakers, but they were servants, right? Like maybe like they were tired of it, right? Like, I'm sorry, Aes Sedai, that you lost your servants.
Yeah, well, I mean, her uncle promised to protect the tree, and then he chopped it down.
Yeah. So yeah, it was all some crazy kind of craziness going on in there.
Yeah, they've been they're connected through history, not really connected directly, but they're
but it was a lot, but it didn't feel like a lot, right? Like it kind of all made sense.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a lot like we're waiting for Perrin to walk around the entire world for 3 seasons and find out something happened to him, right?
No, I mean it was a huge plot dump. You know what I mean? It was like so much information was.
Yeah, it was like a again, we say it all the time, but it was a payoff for like waiting through all of this, right? And it was incredible. I don't know if they did it in the book, if this happens in the book, but like there was just so much backstory, not just for Rand and for Moiraine, but for like the entire world building of this was jammed into like, I mean, half an episode, most of an episode, but not even a whole episode, right? It really, it was huge.
It was a lot, and it was great.
Yeah.
Like for me, the biggest thing for me was the Lanfear bomb that she used to be Aes Sedai.
Oh yeah, that might be the biggest reveal of that whole thing, right?
Yeah. Because we learned a big secret about Forsaken each episode. Robin is Gabriel.
Yep. And we learned I mean, that was big. Lanfear being the Aes Sedai is big, but we also like, I guess a lot was learned here to solidify that Rand is the dragon.
Like the tattoo, like those awesome tattoos on his arms.
Yeah. Or so much about like why he kept like okay, I'm always like, he's so dumb and he's a whiny baby, but like well, that wasn't his past lives, that was all his ancestry that was
that was ancestry.
That was his ancestry that led up to this. We didn't really see anything about his past lives.
Oh, that was the other Star Wars joke we made. He even had a little tail in the one.
He did. He had like a little tail,
He had the Padawan tail.
A little Padawan tail going down his that and the giant Death Star looking thing. That cracked open and gave birth to the Dark One or whatever. That's what's such crazy. Yeah, right. Basically, that was insane. We'll see where it goes. Like, we don't have to hang around in the desert anymore, and yet the Aiel now have become like, he's gone there to recruit an army. Is the other reason why Rand went there, right? Like Rand wants to establish himself as the Karakaren so he can be their leader, and to collect. Before he can go to retrieve the Sword in the Stone, which I forget the name of it right now. But before he can go to Tyr and retrieve the stone, he knows he can't do it alone. He needs an army. So after this, the Aiel will be willing to follow him, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Which
is probably how he destroys them, because they're all going to get dead.
Yeah.
Going to get the Sword in the Stone.
I watched this today. I'm planning to rewatch it again. And Jamie will rewatch it. We'll watch it.
Yeah.
Before we go into next week, we'll just talk about episode 5. We won't need quite so much time to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we will be caught up.
Okay. All right. That was a lot. Anything else before we move on to?
No, I think you guys are safe to move on.
All right. Daredevil, Reacher.
No, let's
No.
do Reacher. Let's do it the order we normally do it.
Reacher, 9 Bodies, and then Daredevil.
Yeah, just because.
All right, Reacher. This was the penultimate episode of Reacher.
Yes.
There is one more to go. Jamie,
Yes.
you've been quiet for a while.
Yes.
So why don't you talk?
So this is the episode where they go off to LA, right? To threaten this guy.
Yes, I believe this episode is called LA Story.
Yeah. They go to threaten this guy, and you know how I am with names. I don't have the name, but they go to threaten this guy that they make him say that he wants to basically buy weapons from Beck because Quinn needs money to pay off the mob.
His name is Darian Prado.
Okay. Darian Prado, I'll have to remember that. Okay, so they go to him and basically they want him to offer Beck money because Quinn is screwed because he still owes the Russians?
Yeah.
The Russians money. So they need to sell some weapons quick, basically. So they go threaten him by I enjoyed what they did where they kind of went in and knew the stuff he was doing and coerced him into doing it. But anyway, they get him to contact Beck and tell him he wants to buy the stuff so that Beck comes out. But then they have Neely go instead and tell him, hey, I'm working with Reacher. You're going to do this and you need to find out where everything's going down with Quinn because it's the only chance you have to save yourself and your son, basically. Mm-hmm. And we also find out, I don't know if we found out before or found out in this one, but that Quinn cut his ear off instead of his son's other ear. I don't know if they had said that last time or not, but
yeah.
So
I think we knew, but we didn't get to see him with a nice big bandage on his ear.
Yeah.
And he has it's his right ear. So this is an older picture because it's his right ear that gets chopped off, I think.
Yeah, I think it's his right ear.
It's his right ear that gets chopped off.
There was no episode. There was like pictures from 308, but not 307. I looked. So,
yeah.
Except for the one I put on the background, which didn't help.
No, there's a scene where Richard and Zach face each other, much like Richard. You know when they're tying the bow tie and they're looking at each other just like these two are, and they both have their ear. It's the ear on the other side of their head so it's Richard's left and Beck's right, Zach's right that are cut off.
That's it. So let me ask you: did you feel like a little bit more for Beck in this one? Because although I do have to say I think his plan was stupid, but when he talks to his son, he says, you know, when your mother died, that you didn't handle it well, and I didn't want you to have to lose another parent, so I never got close to you. Like he intentionally stayed away from him and was cold to him, which again I think was a really stupid idea. But it made me feel a little sorry for him and maybe understand him a little bit better. And I like that they sort of had their moment to reconnect a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they did sort of. So Zachary Beck has always protested, said that he loves his son, and he's never really been. I mean, he's not abusive. He sent his son to college. He lives in a nice house. He comes and goes. He lets him write. But he's cold and unfeeling is his main drawback as a father, right? Like, we call him a bad father. He's emotionally bad.
He's a bad father that he let his kid get his ear chopped off. He's not a bad father.
He called the kidnappers bluff, and he didn't pay the money, and they cut his ear off, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the FBI always tells you not to pay the ransom, right? Or not without them, to pay the ransom with them involved or whatever. I mean, he didn't purposely be like,
No,
cut his
he
ear off.
didn't
I don't
purposely get
care.
hurt. No, you're
He,
right.
he called their bluff. He didn't pay, and they chopped his ear off. Had he known the outcome, I don't think he would have done it.
No, I don't think he would have. But
And
yes,
I
he's
don't
been
think, and I
very
think he
cold.
didn't know at that point that he was dealing with the psycho Xavier Quinn, right?
Right.
How psychotic this guy is. I mean, he also, yes, I would say that. I mean, does being an international gun dealer make you a bad father?
I mean, his life was always in danger because of it. It definitely doesn't make him a good father, but it doesn't mean that he didn't love him.
But yes, and late in the game, they're trying to humanize him and make us feel bad for him. And he explains how it hurt you so much to lose your mother. I wanted you to hate me, so if I die, it won't bother you so much, basically, is the short version, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if he thought because of Quinn he would end up dead. I mean, if that was like the idea, he figured with everything going on, he wasn't going to end up alive. But yeah, that's still not a good excuse to be like that. And that's like you said, yeah, he wasn't abusive or anything. He just did not, he was very unloving, I guess, and like I said, cold to his kid. And he, finally explains that, and they kind of connect because he sees it as son's trying to fix that gun, the toy gun for him that was so important.
Yeah, that was a nice scene. I mean, I really liked the part of the early part of the episode that involved the trip to LA, setting up the art gallery / drug dealer guy, and the ways that, Duffy and especially Reacher are like going to break the law to get what they need out of this guy. And in the meantime, Neely goes and sets up the meet with Beck and passes along the message, how all that, I really enjoyed that part. And it was actually during that scene where Beck is meeting with Neely that I was reminded of like how good I think Anthony Michael Hall is in this role.
Oh yeah, he's a great actor. I mean, he's always a great actor, but yeah, he does fit this role really good.
Yeah, he is, and people always think of him as this role he played when he was like 16, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not as many people saw something like The Dead Zone. Which
that's all I remember from. I mean, that's mostly what I remember from.
Yeah, but he's really quite good, I think, in this role and in this scenes. I particularly liked the scene where he sets at the meet with Neely. In LA, Reacher and Duffy finally sleep together. There's not a picture of it because Amazon doesn't dump many pictures, and particularly nothing that's going to be a bit of a spoiler will ever come out on Amazon, right?
Right.
But they end up they hook up in their motel. And really Duffy is like initiates it, and Reacher's like, I thought you said we couldn't do this. And Duffy says, that's before I realized the way you work, or something like that, she says, right?
I don't remember her reason. I'm trying to remember.
She says something like, I like how you get shit done, or I like how you work, or I mean, she's attracted to his commitment and his code and his,
which seems to be going out the window in this season, but that's besides the
yeah.
She's gotten his season 3 code.
Yeah. So I'm sure a lot of fans who've been shipping them probably were really happy to see that happen. I'm never that interested in the ship, and I just don't see the chemistry with these two. So for me, I was like, well, I knew it was coming, but I didn't really care that much. I don't know how you felt if you were looking forward to it.
I mean, I don't dislike them together. I like them together, and I like their banter, but I don't see like them being, madly in love or that attracted to each other that it mattered. I mean, I said to you at the beginning of the season they were probably going to get together, but that's just because it's my understanding they always do that with Reacher, and I just figured that was where it was headed because she was the main actress in the show. I mean, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't necessary, but that's the kind of show it is. It wasn't unexpected. But I do like them together. I mean, I don't see a love connection, but Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
In
okay.
fact, I wouldn't call her a love interest. Maybe just like a sex interest.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I was gonna
Right?
say I see maybe they're attracted to each other, but that's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
Before that though, we skipped the part at the beginning about them going to see Teresa's grandmother.
Oh, that was in the
So,
beginning.
yeah, that was I think it was at
Okay.
the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess it was in the beginning.
I don't have it my own thing written out. I'm just looking at trying to remember what happened. I think it was at the beginning of the episode, but I
Oh
couldn't-
yes, because I think Teresa says before we go to LA, I have to make a stop, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's clear that she has seen this that Teresa's grandmother multiple times. Although I have to say, I don't know that getting to be that friendly with the like the person that's missing their parent, what I don't know. Do you think
Yeah.
or grandmother, sorry. Do you think that's a smart idea? Like I get it, she's trying to help the woman, but I feel like she's giving her false hope a little bit. If this was like real life. I mean, it's a TV show, but
I think I can't imagine any like do law enforcement agents get involved with their CI's family? Like I don't know.
no, I mean it's got to be totally the guilt, I guess.
Well, Tree hasn't been missing that long that she got to know the grandmother this well, right? Like I feel like she must have already known her before she went missing.
She knew her from her being a PI and when she got her out of drugs,
PI.
whatever before. But
why
or
would
not
you have
PI,
a confidential
yeah,
informant and now you're hanging around
Yeah.
their family and ingratiating? Like, doesn't it all seem like unethical and weird?
It does.
And,
I mean, she wasn't doing anything wrong. She was being nice to the woman, bringing her food. But yeah, I don't know.
in
Teresa
this
would
one
give her false
episode,
hope.
she was, but it's clear that she has brought her food
Yes.
before. She knows she likes chowder for breakfast. Like, she knows a lot about her. She knows where she lives. The lady knows her by sight. Like, I just didn't really think that police became part of their confidential informant's family.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I don't know if it was just to make her seem more, I don't want to say human. She's already human. She's not a bad person, but I mean, because she's the good guy. But I mean, it made her seem more. Trying to think of the right word.
You don't have to be a
More
bad guy
emotional.
to be not a full person on a TV show, right?
Right.
Like,
but I mean, I feel like they were trying to make her seem like to soften her edges. I was trying to think. I can't think of the right way to say it, but like make her seem more emotional, less hard, because she through a lot of it
Yeah.
because she is a cop and that she is kind of has this sort of hard persona, and I think it's sort of showing that she does care about people. But I didn't need these scenes. I mean, they were cute. I think the main part, in my opinion, about these scenes, the whole point was to be like, oh, you two are so cute together, and like her making
Yes,
the
I
comments
think
like
so
they were
too.
already together, and then because this was before they slept together, right? That was
Yes.
why like they ended up. So it's like, oh, made them notice each other, I guess, was supposed to be the idea,
Yes, I think you're right. They were trying to set us up before they slept together.
which we didn't need either way. So, but yeah, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it was neither here nor there. It wasn't necessary, but
Yeah.
and then the other part before we get to LA is with Neagley going to see the guy and finding out.
Oh, it's when she went to find out who put the hit on her.
Yeah, and she finds out where Quinn's headed because of that. Because she actually, this is before she ends up catching up with Reacher because she does this, not because Reacher calls her, right? Because she like sort of meets up with him in the middle, I think. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but she knows where to go. Is the point because she?
Well, I think it's a setup for later when the ATF goes to the wrong place is what it's setting it up for.
Yeah, because he tells her to follow the buyers, and it ends up the buyers aren't the buyers he's with, or he's following, or whatever, and they end up in two different places, so they know it's not.
Yeah,
that it's not the correct ones.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
and of course, it's also setting up her spinoff. We have to all be ready for.
But we already kind of said it sets up the meet between her and Beck, where she, it tells him that this is his only shot, and he's got to take it. And I know she says something like to tell him that she asked for more money or something.
Well, he says, "What? I need money," and she's like, "Oh, tell him I renegotiated and you walked," because she's not going to give him any money.
Right.
Yeah.
But they needed him in order to, contact him and make him think that they were going to make the deal.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to remember where he ends up getting the money though from in the long run. Then he makes his own.
No,
No.
money is.
No, he's Quinn has to find another way to get the money. That was Beck that was trying to do it. They were trying to do it like it was like, oh, this opportunity popped up, so they took it, kind of thing. Yeah. So what else? Let's see.
Well, so Quinn continues to be awful in this episode, which I get it, but I continue to feel like it's almost overkill the way they're like I know he's awful. I get it. He continues to be very awful in every episode all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he not only so he does a couple of reprehensible things, including he just goes out of his way to humiliate Beck as often as possible. Like when he says, "Good, now get out of my office," right?
Yeah,
and it's totally Zachary's office, right? And then he goes to see Teresa for no real reason, because he could have sent one of his minions to bring Teresa a sandwich and a bottle of water
and her drugs.
It turns out they're addicting her to drugs, which is very common in a human trafficking situation, right?
Right, but she is a drug addict too, so she's
so it's easy to addict her fast,
right? But she's pretty out of it.
But they do, it's common to addict trafficked people to drugs so you can control them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really an excuse for him to just say "Oh, you're lucky I didn't just rape you and chop you up."
Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
But luckily you're right. They're just, they just continue to pot. This guy's horrible, and I get it. And they are piling it on so that we will be so happy when he eventually gets killed by Reacher. Although, how do you feel about where that's going? Because Reacher in this episode really expressed, he says, "I don't want justice, I want vengeance." The next part of it is when Teresa and Villeneuve decide they want to go to the ATF and bring in law enforcement at the last minute. What did you think about that?
I knew he was going to get mad. I also figured it wouldn't work out right. I didn't quite expect it to go down the way it did, but I think that they're not going to kill Quinn, and it's not going to work out for them. But she brings him to the DEA or whatever, and he's doesn't want their help, and they, as it is, they're already going to, telling the two of them that they're going to be demoted or whatever, and that they're going to get him in trouble. And it's why did you go? I don't know. Part of me is kind of why did you go to these guys in the first place? I get it, but you knew it wasn't going to go well. And they're you can't kill him. You got to stay back. And of course, Reacher does not agree to do that.
Yeah, but Reacher doesn't go for it because Reacher wants to murder Quinn, right?
Yes.
But and also Reacher knows these guys are gonna bumble it up, right? The ATF doesn't know their agent is dead, their undercover agent or plant or CI is dead until Duffy and Reacher tell them, right? She's been dead for days now, the maid, right? The cook. And they didn't even know. But it's part of Reacher it's part of the show that law enforcement can't do it and Reacher can only do it by his methods, right?
Right. But yeah, they're kind of you called us in at the 11th hour, you're screwed. But Reacher gets forced to agree not to, it's not going to last, but he's told that he's not allowed to go after him and that he has to stay in the van. And she agrees that she basically says he'll do that, even though she probably knows he's not going to. But yeah, they go and they watch them or they go with the DEA, and then it all goes downhill from there.
Yeah. And I was thinking I wonder if Reacher's sorry he slept with Teresa now. Because they finally have sex, and then she's oh, by the way, I'm calling in the ATF. It's going to be their case. We're letting them have it, right?
Yeah.
And Reacher's all their shared understanding of how things should be done is gone now, right? And their shared belief in doing whatever it takes to get it done like has broken down. But I don't know, like Duffy's maybe not wrong. She's like, Quinn's an international gun dealer and he has like an army, right?
Yeah, they need some back in real world. They need some backup. And I also don't know that. And again, in real world, it's hard. It's different on a TV show. But like for him to think that if she's not a dirty cop, that she's just going to let him go murder him. Like, I don't know that he should have thought that was going to happen anyway. That only happens because it's television. So he had to know this was coming in a way.
Yeah. But Duffy's kind of also like, you only care about killing your guy and you don't care about saving my girl. And I feel like she's kind of not wrong there, right? Like,
She's not.
Like, I feel like Reacher's like, yeah, I'll save her if I can, but she's not the goal, right? Like,
yeah, and he
guy
expects her to compromise what she's doing for him, but he's not doing it for her. So,
do we think it's weird to see Reacher like fully in vengeance mode? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we've kind of said this all season that it's too much.
And we don't read the books,
killing people.
right?
No, right. But I mean, that's kind of one of the things I liked before about Reacher. I mean, not that I care per se if he kills somebody. I mean, it's not like, oh, I don't want to watch it because he kills somebody. But I like that he usually tried to outsmart people instead of murdering people, you know. And now it's just like he's just killing everybody right and left and doesn't really care. So
yeah, he seemed more like a justice guy than a vengeance guy before, right?
Yeah. And like, I get him wanting vengeance, but like, he's been killing a lot of people along the way too. It isn't like it's just this guy.
Yes, he's killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he's kind of into it sometimes, right?
Yeah, he's a little too into it sometimes.
Yeah. So they all go down to the a ton of law enforcement goes down to the meet up where the by the way, they figured out, we missed the part where they figured out what's up with the guns, that Quinn is selling the guns to a bunch of terrorists from Yemen, and I guess it's Reacher, because Reacher's the brains of the operation. Reacher figures out that they're going to use these guns in the United States because why wouldn't they ask them to be delivered, right? Like, the whole point of taking over Beck's company is that it's an international company that can deliver stuff anywhere it needs to be. So obviously they're going to use these guns for an attack in the United States, which seemed almost like a side thing, that if you weren't paying attention, you would miss this kind of really important.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was it important? Like, isn't it
not
bad?
Really, because I had forgotten about that. So
isn't it bad to sell guns no matter who you sell them to, right?
Yes, but we don't want them here. So, but no, you're right. But the other thing is, and we had sort of alluded to this before, but Negley was at the airport, was like supposed to follow the buyers in, and when she does that, like, that's where she finds out she's not at the same place Reacher is, and that's when he realizes, hey, this is a setup, because Quinn never trusted Beck. Beck never should have told him, or asked about. I thought when Beck asked him to tell him where the deal was going down because he had to know, I thought that was pretty obvious to begin with. Like, there's no way he's going to fall for that. So we know that he didn't, and the whole thing's a setup.
Yeah.
So I think it ends right before they fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, it ends so Reacher, turns out Reacher went to the pawn shop off screen and bought a sniper rifle. Never worry about that, whatever. And he's just gonna shoot the guy the instant he shows up, but of course it's it's a trap.
Yeah, the whole thing's a trap.
Yeah. So that sets us up for the final episode.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's about it. Unless you have more to add.
Nope.
I mean, it was a good episode. I enjoyed it, but yeah, it's finally rounding. I can't remember if the season was it that short last year? Because I had thought there were going to be 10 episodes, and then I was like, wait, there's only one left or whatever when I got to this point. So
I think it's kind of a short show.
yeah. I mean, not that it needed to be longer. I actually think maybe it could have been a little shorter and it would have been okay. There was a lot of filler, I feel like.
Yeah.
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 The only other thing I was going to say is, and I had mentioned this last week, that I did, was it yesterday? My days are so mixed up. I've been doing so much. Yesterday anyway, I talked to Olivier, who plays Polly, about the finale. And about, his fights with Reacher and all that good stuff. So that will be up at scifivision.com soon. As for all the other stuff I'm working on, trying to catch up on. I feel like it has been a long week and it is only Tuesday. That's the way I put it.
Yeah. We haven't seen Polly. In fact, I deleted Polly's picture from our collection this week because he hasn't been seen in so long, and he was junking up my files here. I mean, we know he'll be back.
Okay.
He has to be killed, right? There has to be a final fight between Reacher and Polly. There's no question that's going to happen, right?
Yeah. I think that's a safe bet. But I talked to him about the finale, so will be soon. All right. I'm surprised you still can hear me. My webpage got all weird. I don't know what else to call it weird.
Nope, I hear you.
Blanked out when I flipped to the other tab.
All right.
But yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to 9 Bodies in a Mexican Morgue, and you actually watched it with us this time. Yay! Doesn't make it easier, then you get to see it early, or not early, but I mean, then you don't have to take time to watch something when you see it.
No, I had to watch it again because I couldn't remember any of it.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, I had already seen it. So
we watched it at 2 a.m.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to watch it again. In fact, I was like, have I really seen this?
Well, to be fair, I didn't remember a lot of it, and I had already seen it. So there you go. So yeah, I've seen it 2 times too. So you seem like after you watched, I get the opinion that you like it a little bit better now than maybe you did at the beginning when you started the show, because you had said there was more going on, I guess, than you expected a little bit.
I guess, but then when I rewatched it this week, I was like, God, I just hate all the characters so much that I don't really care who the survivor is. Although the survivor presumably is maybe a villain. But I really find a lot of these people to not be likable. And I felt like the show had some real, a couple of weaknesses this week, including are they FAA? Are they fake FAA investigators? And the reveal there at the end of the episode.
I think they were supposed to really be or no, they weren't. Was it was the DEA? Wasn't the DEA agents the ones that went?
Yeah, so I guess they go to this airline and they say they're FAA.
Yeah, I forgot they did say they're FAA.
They're DEA, right?
DEA, yeah. And they're trying to ask about the plane that went down, and there's this whole thing where, and this is also the one that runs it, you find out, is the woman that was out of the truck in the pilot that was out in the desert, and the other guy works for her.
Yeah.
And they're trying to find out about the plane that went down and why they hired this, I think he was an ex-con, wasn't he? Why they hired him to be the pilot. And she gives kind of this crap about, they wanted to give him a second chance. And we know that it's more that they talked him into, flying the drugs. And it went down. They want their drugs back. I mean, we know that. They don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it fills you in a bit on how it sets up a couple things. It sets up the eventual discovery of drugs in the ceiling of the plane, right? And it sets up this reveal about Zach's character.
Right.
Or a reveal that you're not really. So it's Zach eventually. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here. So it turns out that Lisa has followed Zach into the woods and found him
Doing something shady.
digging a hole. And so she looked in the hole and found all of his stuff that he hid there, including like a bunch of bullets and he says his wallet, a gun.
Well, his wallet was there, but his ID wasn't.
And so then he has to be, and the bullets that were stolen from Lisa's gun. And so Zach is like, oh no, I did it because I'm DEA. And that's why
you muted all of a sudden. You still there?
I'm here.
Hello?
I'm here.
What happened?
Hello. I'm here.
Hello? I don't know if people can hear me. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm going to try leaving and coming back in because I don't know if anybody
No,
can
I hear
me.
you.
Jamie, can you hear me? Karen,
Yes.
I don't think you can. I don't think, Karen, I can hear. Yeah, I think it was Jamie because I could hear both of you and you could hear her, but she couldn't hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Jamie must have like lost her.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
I don't know what happened. I just lost you all of a sudden. Everything went muted. So
No, Jamie, Karen, I could hear both of you, but you couldn't hear Karen.
okay. Yeah. I think I don't know. Considering it's the opposite of what happened to us earlier, I think it's StreamYard.
All right. Well, anyway. just me hears us too.
Here's what I'm saying. Hello. It's like, can you hear me now?
She agrees.
Commercials.
You know, she agrees. Like, I don't connect any characters, so I agree. I don't care who dies or who did it. I mean, that's the biggest weakness of the show for me.
I think my issue and part of the reason, at least to me, that I don't connect with them is like, they're all going to die. Like, so you're not getting, like, you have no reason to get connected to them, like you only see them for such a short period of time and they're gone. Like, there's no reason to even want to, I guess. But I mean, that's what it is from the setup. So, it's neither here nor there, but
yeah.
But back to what you were saying.
Okay, so that's why Zach is forced to reveal that he's a DEA agent and he was on the plane trying to bust this airline or whatever he was trying to do, right? And now nobody believes him. I mean,
you skipped the part that Sonia gives us her backstory about.
Well,
okay, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I was just talking about, I guess, one character at a time, but if you want to take it more on a recap, that's cool. But so she gives her somewhere in there, she gives her backstory, right?
Yeah, that her, I don't know if it was fiance or her husband, but had been a partier, and that she too was doing a lot of drugs, and that he died. So my point with all saying that is that he says he's a DEA agent, but I would think that she would know it's legit because he knew who she was. And he's like, well, we were investigating you and everything had gone down. So that to me should have made her believe him, at least, if nobody else. But he doesn't have his ID, so they think that he's just making it up because he had the gun. There's also the fact, and I don't know because we weren't going in order, but there's also the fact that the ELT, they find out, has been disconnected. I don't know if they go out. I think they go out after, though, to check it, right?
Yeah, they go. It's like Sonia goes up, is like, I'm going, and then Dan and what's his wife's name? Dan and
Amy
have a fight. Partly because, I mean, I like, he's like, he does treat Amy like a helpless baby and not a person who has any ability to, like, he just tells her what to do. He's very controlling. This business of like, she is sick and I love her and I promise to take care of her and blah, blah, blah. Like, he's very controlling and domineering, and I think creepy and untrustworthy. I think it's all an act. I do believe that this week he gave us his routine about how, yes, I am a con man. Yes, it was true when I first met her, but then I fell in love with her. Seems like, to me, not to be true.
It's not a deep
Something.
storyline. Like it's very we've heard it before. It's
Yeah, he's full of
not-
shit.
yeah, he might be. The other thing is actually before they go out for it, the thing with Lisa, that's the other big thing, is that it's actually that Amy is missing. I think did she leave? I can't remember. It stormed. That's right. It was storming and they had to go in the plane. And for some reason that I don't remember, she gets upset and leaves the plane and they go after her and they're all calling after her. And Lisa finds Amy, and Amy is seeing that shooter again. And as that happens, we realize that there is somebody there because Lisa sees them too. But that's not to say that the person they're seeing then is necessarily not from their group, because since all the idiots separated from each other when they were looking for Amy, it really could have been anybody that had the luchadora mask stashed.
Yeah.
And pretended to be the shooter. But
Or the killer. The killer. They're not
the killer.
shooter,
Yeah, not the shooter. Well, they pretended. What I meant is they might have been pretending to be her, what she was seeing, or it could just be that that's how she saw them too. But yeah, the killer. And when she runs off, this person grabs and chokes Lisa.
Bye, Lisa. Rest in peace. Just when she got to be slightly nicer in this episode, although also everybody trying to make friends with her also sounded a little like Sonia was like trying to be nice to her and make friends with her and be like, I know you're not that person. And like, I like Sonia less and less every episode. I thought I liked her a lot in the beginning. And I know some people do like her a lot, but particularly this episode, I found her to be a little too much. And I didn't really.
Well, she's the one that's putting two and two together and seems to be the one that's figuring it all out, right?
Except she's not, right?
No,
Like,
she's not necessarily, but she thinks she is. Because this is where, that's why I said we had it out of order. This is where they find the gun in that, because Lisa dies first when this happens. At least I'm pretty sure Lisa died first.
no, Lisa says I saw him dig a hole and I found all this stuff in it.
No. Okay, yeah, you're right, I guess. I was thinking that they found this stuff first, but they tie him up at any rate. They don't trust Zach at this point. And they need to go to check the ELT that's on the cliff or whatever you want to call it, up the mountain. And they
that seemed like a stupid idea.
Yeah, it does seem like a stupid idea, but at least three of them go together this time because, like we said, Amy and Dan go with Sonia, and they tie Zach up. They decide that they think, because the other thing is that when Sonia found the gun, she also found the radio in it, the sat phone, whatever you want to call it. It's not a sat phone, but it's a phone that would work in the jungle if they went.
I believe it's a satellite enabled.
It's some kind of
device,
special radio phone, which we know is connected to the ones that sent the plane out with the drugs. We just don't know who really had it, but she assumes it's his because they found it in the hole, and that's where he says, well, no, somebody planted it. That part wasn't mine. And they decide that they need to find the truth and somebody has to torture it out of them is I guess the idea, which I don't know that whole idea was going to go well no matter what, but that was their plan. So they pull straws and Kevin ends up with the shortest one. So they're going to go up the mountain and check the ELT and see what's going on while he stays behind and takes care of Kevin and forces him to tell him. I feel like, or kind of felt like this was going to go bad no matter what, because I figured either Zach, even though I thought he was going to last longer, I figured that either, and we still don't know, but I figured that either Zach is going to die and everybody's going to blame Kevin because he was tied up, or Zach is going to, it was possible that maybe Zach's the killer and he could somehow get untied, kill Kevin and then retie himself and nobody would know who did it. Those were kind of my ideas of where I was going on this. And I don't know that I mean, that, like I said, that still could happen. We don't get to that point. But what we find out when we see the other side of it is we see that the ones that went to talk to those at the airport are DEA agents, and that they're trying to find the plane. And they do find that the transponder thing went on because during this, the three of them had gone up to the mountain, found out it was disconnected. And, you know, I have to ask you, do you think somebody disconnected it? Because when I saw this before, assumed somebody disconnected it, but why didn't they like destroy it instead of just pulling the wire off? That seems pretty, if it wasn't like an accident and somebody actually tried to screw it up.
Well, maybe it was an accident. We didn't see anybody do it.
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It makes me wonder if maybe it was an accident, because it just seems like if you were going to sabotage it, why would you just disconnect the wire? Why wouldn't you destroy it? But at any rate, they see that there's like a signal going off, but they say that, you know, it's this big area in the forest or in the jungle rather. And it doesn't tell them exactly where it's at, and they don't have any jurisdiction to go there in the jungle to find them. So the one DEA agent says that, like, what if she takes a personal day off work because she's upset? And basically she's going to go over there, like, well, not as a DEA agent, I guess, and try to find out what happened, because you find out that, Zach, I was trying to think of his name. You find out that Zach is her husband. And then you see kind of a little story with that. Now, I have, after this, I kind of wonder and started to have a theory and wondered if it's possible, because of the fact that I do believe he's really DEA. But to me, that doesn't necessarily mean he's not the killer, because I started wondering, what if he's like a dirty cop and that he went to the jungle really to get these drugs? Like, because it sounds like they're like, maybe, I don't know, maybe their family was struggling. I just kind of wondered if it's possible that even though we find out he's, you know, a DEA agent, that it's going to turn around and be that actually means he's the bad one, rather than that letting him off the hook. But Kevin pulls his toenail out trying to get the information about the radio. So far he hasn't given anything up, so he may not be. But, you know, the rest of them survive till the end of the episode, so we don't really know much else.
We have some comments coming in. The fact that drugs were on the plane makes you realize that the plane was being monitored and people know exactly where it is. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of hard to believe that international drug dealers would not have a better, like, GPS location monitor on their plane somehow, and their drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
To know where it landed. And this little, like, sat phone device, it cannot be the only way they know where it is, right? And so I think Golden Child, that supports the idea that the killer is not necessarily from the plane. The killer could still be an outside person.
Yeah, because it could just be they were hanging around waiting for the plane to crash too. Because I mean, I think that was the plan from the beginning, to get the drugs there. So it definitely doesn't mean that. And I've said before, even though there's one of these people left at the end, the person could be dead in the middle of the jungle or running away from whoever the killer is. Like, them only finding 9 bodies really doesn't mean one of them's the killer. I mean, that doesn't prove anything.
It also doesn't mean there's not another body that they just didn't find.
That's what I mean. They could just be in the middle of the jungle and they lost them. But
Golden Child kind of is agreeing, and I agree, that just because Zach's DEA doesn't mean that he's not crooked, and that he wasn't on that plane, like, escorting the drugs in, right?
Yeah.
Which is possible. I have to agree with just me. You know how, like, Amy sees the killer and Lisa sees him, and then, like, the lightning flashes and it's dark for a nanosecond, and all of a sudden the killer is right behind. You know, just because I don't like how the killer just teleported behind the woman, behind Lisa. He really did, right? like all of
Yeah.
a sudden the guy's behind Lisa.
Yeah, I think they just used that as a way because they were trying to make it exciting or whatever, and it just didn't
Work.
actually do that in real life. So
It just
it
didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. I mean, I like the idea that now there's really somebody there and that she's not imagining it. But like I said before, that would have been the case, but really you don't know that she's been hasn't been imagining it all this time, because there's nothing to say that that wasn't actually one of their group, because the idiots went and split up. Like I've said before, you guys got to quit splitting up. You got to stay in groups of 3. I mean, now that I don't think now I think they have 5 people. They can't, I don't know how many people are left. Yeah,
They have 5 left.
Like they never should have split up, because that's why it doesn't mean that killer was an outside source, because it could have been somebody had the luchador mask stash. They put it on, killed Lisa, took it off, and ran back trying to find him, or trying to find Amy. So
yeah, I mean, it's a creeping creeper who never sleeps, right? So like,
yeah, it could be
could
that too.
totally be like grabbing up all the stuff and whatever. Just me thinks Kevin is the killer. So I can support that idea. I think Kevin's not a doctor. I don't think a doctor would be would torture. Doctors take an oath to like first do no harm, right? And even though like Kevin lost his license, it was for like Medicare fraud or something, right? It wasn't for like killing a patient or incompetence or anything like
he
that.
didn't
Right?
have he didn't buy the insurance or whatever.
Oh yeah, malpractice.
Malpractice.
Yeah.
A girl got sick. Somebody
He didn't buy enough malpractice insurance, and when the girl died, he lost his practice.
Well, she didn't die, but yeah.
Okay, whatever happened. It's not like he didn't like. It's not a medical offense, really, right? Like
No.
it was more a legal offense, and it all. I don't know. He hasn't really. He didn't want to. He didn't want to perform surgery to save the pilot, which I know it's TV, but on every TV show ever, the doctor's always like, yes, let me absolutely try to operate and save this person. I will definitely save this person, right? He never wants to help anyone. I don't think he really has medical skills. I think he's not a doctor. I think he's a liar. And I don't think a real doctor would be like, yeah, let me use my medical, let me torture this guy. And when Dan says, oh, you're a doctor, you know what to do. And Kevin says, you do know this is the opposite of what doctors do. I mean, it's true, but also like, I think it's because he doesn't have any medical knowledge. I think he's maybe not a real doctor. And I think he could be the killer or could be involved with, he was the guy escorting the drugs, part of the drug dealers, whatever. He also is the most annoying person. He's such a whiny bee. It's hot in the plane and I smell and I hate the jungle. I want to go home. Where? Oh my God. Could somebody please kill him? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of what they're like, we all smell it, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's Kevin, but I mean it could be. And this is as far as I've seen. You guys are where I am now. So I don't know. Like I said, my thoughts were I think it might be Zach. That was more where I'm headed right now. I didn't think that until I found out he was DEA. I mean, I think you're supposed to think he's innocent, and that makes me think he's not. And like I said, I think sometimes though I tend to think people are guilty just because they seem innocent, which isn't a good reason. But I do think that it totally would make sense if he was a dirty DEA agent and that he was actually, escorting the drugs there or whatever.
I think it's definitely not Amy. Amy's the one person that I think it's like definitely not Amy.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Because
she also saw somebody kill Lisa. I don't think that she imagined. Well, no. Did she run right before she got killed or as she was getting killed? I can't remember that part.
I mean, I don't really know.
I don't know, but we've seen a killer with the two of them. So I'm going to assume that means it's not Amy. Unless
I just think
killer anyway.
Her father's a billionaire, so she doesn't need to be involved in drug dealing. Now, She did reveal that she knows how to shoot, but most people have been stabbed or strangled or whatever, right? Like, I think she's too small to have taken she couldn't have taken Rapido right? Like, she couldn't subdue Rapido. She's too tiny. Her father's a billionaire. I just don't think it's her. And
No, I
Dan,
agree.
like,
Dan might be the red herring just because he's so obvious, like obviously
Yeah.
a con that we don't like. You know, you're supposed to hate him.
and he's a guy who obviously would get involved in drug dealing, I guess, if he thought he could make a little money. But I don't think I think you're right that he's a red herring, and I think he's like maybe not smart enough for even drug dealers to want to be like, right? Like he like is sort of like a 2-bit con who like always gets caught and screws things up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's probably not him. But the only thing I think it's definitely not Amy is the only person.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Just Me has an awesome point. Maybe someone else was a stowaway on the plane and hasn't even been introduced to us yet.
I just question we wouldn't have seen them when the plane crashed.
Really? We didn't see 100 pounds of drugs when the plane crashed.
Yeah, but that was like inside the plane. It wasn't. Well, I mean, that would still be inside the plane, but I mean, that was like sort of part of the plane. It was up inside.
Well,
It.
that person could have been in the ceiling. I don't know, right? We don't know what
I guess it's possible.
vacancies exist in a plane.
Yeah. No, it's definitely possible. I think that I think the killer might be an outside source, but I do think that Zach may be in on it. Because that could be the case too, and then it's actually like two different things. You know what I mean? Like he could still be in on trying to transport the drugs, but not actually be the one that was killing people, because maybe they weren't willing to wait for him to bring the drugs or something, and they sent somebody else. I don't know.
The only thing wrong with the Zach theory is they gave him he's the only character with like a confirmable backstory of a named wife and a named child who are characters who speak on the program. They just made him like the hero.
Well, I think that part's true. I think they're really his family. I just think that maybe he's a dirty.
Yeah, he's the only character who got a family and like a verifiable story. Everybody else is just what they say. He is confirmed DEA agent. So
I guess. I just don't know that him being confirmed DEA agent to me confirms he's good. It just confirms he's a DEA agent, because he could be a dirty DEA agent.
I think giving him a little child makes him not going to be the bad guy. I don't think this show is,
or at least not the killer. That's why I said he could be in on it, but not necessarily be the killer.
Oh, yeah, the killer could be someone else who was around. Zach is probably in on it since they just showed his family and setting him up for more of a storyline.
So yeah, see, she thinks the opposite. Rhea gets the opposite out of it.
He could be in on it.
Yeah, I don't know that I buy he's the killer. I just think he might be a dirty DEA agent, and he could have been there to try to get the drugs, or was somehow involved in it. I still think it's possible.
He's working with the drug dealers.
And I think they sent somebody to kill these people off.
I mean, so I really didn't like the introduction of his wife and child and this whole backstory. I thought part of the show was everybody just having a trust, like the characters could only take each other at face value, and we could only take them at face value. And I thought that was one of the things that the show was trying to do, and that worked. And I felt like suddenly giving this reveal for him was a little, I don't know, lazy. I think giving him a wife who is also a DE agent and an adorable daughter was like, I don't know, like.
No, you could be right.
No, bad writing. People trying too hard. People not trying hard enough. Like I am not down with this.
I do think it's a problem that they don't have enough backstory, but I think part of the problem is that they set this up to be like so few episodes and killing somebody off each episode. Like if they had made it longer and stretched it out, maybe you'd get to know each of the characters more. But like, I get that's not what this is. It's the point of one of them dying, but they don't let you like each of them enough to care before they die. And I mean, they're not great. I don't love the characters. I mean, I think I dislike them as much as you do, but I agree that they need more development for me to care a little bit more about.
I like Sonia less. She's like more of a bitch every week. And, and so I think her having a drug arrest in her past is a red herring, but also like she was set up to be a person who could need the money enough to be involved in a drug, and she has experience in Latin America. She knows the area. That could be a lie. She might not be a photojournalist. She might know the area because she's a drug dealer. right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she knows the jungle so well.
Yeah, could be.
I mean,
I
they set up
just-
that she needs money, and if Kevin's backstory is true and he is a doctor with like insurance fraud problems, then he
could
needs
need the
money also,
too. Yeah.
right?
I just kind of feel like the two backstories on Sonia and Zach are true. Again, not that means they're the killer, not the killer, but I think that it makes sense that their stories are true though, because at least the part about her boyfriend, husband, whatever he was, because he said that he was like investigating her. So if I believe that
Well, he
he's
said
really
we knew. Yeah.
like if I really believe that him telling the truth about being a DEA agent, then it stands to reason him investigating her for that reason was true.
Well,
But
then
it
that
also makes me think she, like I said, it also means that if that is true with her, she should believe him being a DEA agent. Like it works both ways. If it, otherwise, how would he have known the information that he gave her? I mean, I guess it's possible he could have gotten it some other way, but it makes more sense to me that he actually was DEA.
I mean, it's possible that a corrupt drug dealer airline would check out every person who buys a ticket on their little drug-filled plane before they fill it with drugs, right?
Yeah.
And yet then they would know a DEA agent was on their plane, so he'd have to be on their payroll. I don't know. I'm concerned about this idea that it's someone who hasn't been introduced to us yet. We're already in episode 4 of what will be 8.
Yeah, no, I think there's 6. I want to say there's 6.
There's only 6, right? So we're
think
getting
so.
really near the end.
Yeah, no, it's not a long series. I mean, it's definitely a short thing, and I don't think there would be any point in bringing the show back. I mean, I think it's like a, it's one story. Like, what are they going to do after they're all dead, right? There's no reason to continue it. I wouldn't see how it could.
Yeah.
I don't know. For what it is, I like it. Like I agree with what you're saying. Like I don't think it's maybe as deep as it should be, or it could be, and that maybe it would be a little more enjoyable. It's just to me one of those shows that you watch and you don't like. I know we're diving into it more because that's what we're doing, but like it's not a show you can really pick apart a whole lot. It's more just like enjoy.
I'm not sure.
But
I'm not sure this conversation to me counts as picking apart a whole lot.
I'm saying it's not a show that you can really pick apart because there's a lot of problems with it in that sense. Like I'm saying, like it's just the kind of show to me that I like. I'm enjoying watching it, but it's not like like you said, the writing maybe isn't as good as it should be. But I'm still enjoying it for what it is, if that makes sense. And yes, just me, you're right. At least it's not Earth of Pines.
I mean, I don't think it requires picking. Like the flaws are obvious and big.
That's true.
And
that's true.
I'm not picking at the show. I feel like I'm citing pretty obvious.
No, you are. I'm just saying if you do that at all, it kind of falls apart is my point. Like it's not hard to knock things apart. I don't know. I still, like I said, I've enjoyed it for what it is, but I also like this kind of whodunit, and I'm very forgiving on a lot of it. But I do agree that the characters need a lot of work.
Yeah. Question. At the question for you, question for just me and Golden Child and everybody else who's in the chat. At the end of the episode, all the survivors have left Zach tied up in the woods by himself while they go, I don't know, sleep in the plane or something, right?
Yeah, he's either going to end up free or dead, one or the other.
Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. So someone is approaching him with
a knife.
A knife, a piece of broken glass, right? It's not a knife. They have something in their hand and they're approaching him. And I guess you're supposed to think they're going to kill Zach.
Unless it's just
I think
to make you think that they're just going
right?
to cut him free. Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah, that's a good point.
If they're going to cut him free, who would that be?
I don't know. Maybe Kevin feels guilty. He pulled his toenail off. We didn't even say that point. He pulled his toenail off to try to get it.
You said it before.
Did I? Okay, I didn't know I did.
Yes.
Yeah. Which again also makes me wonder that Kevin isn't the killer, because I feel like he could have tortured him in a much crueler way. I mean, not that pulling your toenail off don't hurt, but I mean,
it's supposed to be excruciating, and that's why it's a classic.
I guess true. I just feel like he could have done a lot worse than he did, but that doesn't mean he's not bad. I'm just say. I think I think it's the doctor in the poncho. They're trying to.
Yeah, right. Maybe he feels guilty and he's going back to free. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. And the fact that they seem to be holding, I thought it was like a piece of glass, but I could be wrong. What's in their hand? But if it's not like the real knife, then it could be, and it's definitely like a survivor, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. He could just like totally just feel guilty for what he did, and that's why he's letting him go too.
Yeah,
like I can't believe I did this.
It could be yeah. I don't know, someone like Amy or Dan who didn't have stomach for torture in the first place. Golden Child thinks Zach is working with outsiders. Yeah, that's possible, right? He's working with whoever is on the outside, and they're going to come and set him free. Maybe Zach knows someone is after the drugs, and that's why he's saying they'll all die if he's tied up. He did say, like, if you guys tie me up, you'll be in big trouble, or you'll all die. Maybe he's trying to protect them from the drug cartel. Like, because he could be involved in drugs, but not want people to get killed.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. And that's kind of what I was saying. Like, he could be dirty, but not necessarily the killer.
Yeah. And you know what? For all my negativity, just me, you're right. At least it's not Earth Abides, which was a much worse show.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I guess we don't got that much longer of it to watch to find
So
out.
5 dead, 5 living, and almost 2 more episodes, which means 4 more people have to die. It's going to be like amped up. We can't just have one person die per episode anymore.
Yeah. I believe there's only 6 episodes. I feel like that's what they said in the interviews. I can't.
Hang on, I'll Google it real quick.
Yeah, that's what I was looking to see. I think there's 6
episodes. 6 parts. 6-part series.
Yeah. And I did also, by the way, I think I'd mentioned this before, but I didn't. It's not on scifivision.com yet because I have to post the article part, but the video interview for David Ajala and Peter Gadio, who played I keep wanting to call him Adam because I'm still thinking of Yellow Jackets, who played the luchadora. What was his character's name?
Rapido Carlos, I think was
Carlos.
his name.
With Carlos and Zach is up, and I'm going to be getting the other ones up in the next couple days. I'm just rushing, trying to catch up on some of this stuff, but at least that interview is up if people want to watch it.
This key art is so interesting, where the picture of Kevin is like so much larger than everybody else, and he's not the star. Like, this is an ensemble for sure, right?
Yeah,
and
he's the biggest name on the show.
Yeah, he's the biggest name in the show. That's why.
He's considered the star, I guess, even if he doesn't have a bigger part. But yeah, it's definitely an ensemble.
Yeah. All right. One more show to cover tonight before we go, and we're running real long. So let's get ourselves.
That's because we talked about 3 episodes of.
I know that won't happen next week. We'll get a little back on.
Yeah, we'll be a little better.
We'll be a little
Daredevil.
All right, let's talk about Daredevil. This was also episode 4, and it is titled. Hang on, it's a Latin title, which I can pronounce in a second. I can't find it. I put it in the name of this. I put it in our description of our show, and I can't remember what it's called. Sorry. Anyway, it's the 4th episode.
It was Semper something.
Sic Semper Systema.
There we go.
And this is episode 4, right?
Yes, it is. And it's a play on a Latin saying Sic Semper Tyrannis, which means thus always to tyrants, but Sic Semper Systema would mean thus always to the system. Which implies that, like, the system will inevitably inevitably be overthrown. It happens to also be the state motto of Virginia. Sic Semper Tyrannis, not Systema.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Means like the overthrow of tyrants. So this is referring to the overthrow of the system. It certainly is an episode that is about the ways the system fails people, fails Matt's client in the law case of the week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was gonna at least give that guy some money or food or something.
Yeah, I guess that's not a way. I mean, he still is going to go to jail, right? And I guess it's not a way to help. Like if he helps Leroy, he can't help. I mean, you can't help all your clients that way, right?
No, but he could have maybe tried to help him get his Social Security back or something. I felt like.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, you can't like call Social Security on the phone anymore right now. But
No, I know. But I meant he could have represented him and maybe helped him figure out how to get it back. I don't know. I just felt kind of bad for the guy.
I mean, you're supposed
to like left him those whatever they were he stole, like left him some at his house or something for after he got out of prison. I don't know. I just expected him to do something, even if it was just give him some food to help him out.
I mean, you're supposed to feel bad for the guy. I think, Jamie, that's a very nice instinct you have, but his whole thing is like representing the downtrodden and the poor.
I know. And also, this guy isn't learning.
It's not a way to survive as a low budget lawyer.
Right, true.
So anyway, how'd you guys like Leroy, the client? Other than that, I mean, he was a gigantic pain. He seems like a gigantic pain in the ass and a jerk at first, right? Which was part of the setup.
Yeah. That's why I said he hasn't learned. He keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
I mean, he hasn't learned. I mean, he knows exactly. I think I wouldn't say he hasn't learned. He hasn't.
It hasn't deterred him. Maybe is a better way. He hasn't found a different way. He keeps doing the same thing. So I think it's like you said. This is the also. I know that you're saying the system will be also overthrown, but I think maybe it's also saying the system doesn't work either, at least in this case anyway, because he's repeating the same crime. That's why that lady's like, I can't not give him a punishment for it. You can't just, give him a slap on the wrist every time. And he was really lucky that Matt got him what he got him. But I think it's also showing the system needs another way. I don't know what that way is. I'm just saying,
the system is dysfunctional and the system is rigged against him, right?
Yeah.
And I think as much as Fisk talks about wanting to get things done and change things and fix the city, that is not what he has in mind. I don't think like helping.
No, he wants to work the city and help people because it makes people like him and want him to be the leader. I don't think
it's ironic because that's, the system is completely screwed up because a man like Fisk, who is a convicted criminal, is now mayor. And this poor schlub who just can't catch a break has got to go do 10 days in jail for stealing some candy that the cops then ate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that he told him that the cops took him bats like that, I believe. That was funny. It's like he knew that the cops were jerks.
Well, and it's a vicious cycle because by sending Leroy to jail, it only sets him up to further be unable to dig himself out, right? He gets dug more and more into the hole. He has no options but to steal. But then when he gets caught, it digs him further into the hole where he can't get ahead and or even get even, right?
The system is a very vicious cycle.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying like it because that was the whole problem is like it made it worse because he lost his Social Security because they screwed him up. Like if he could help
yeah.
The system, it's really fucked up because the way the system is set up, it sets you up for failure. Like it makes it so difficult to get out.
No,
I was gonna say,
you don't even have to be a criminal, Jamie.
You're right.
It's the way it's set up. He didn't start out a criminal. He chose that path because of the situation he was in, but it's because the system let him down in the first place that he even finds himself where he is.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, this is a story that we have read for centuries, right? Like this is as old as Jean Valjean. who is, if you guys have read Les Mis or if you've seen Les Mis, he steals a loaf of bread to feed his family and he does 19 years in prison. And then a cop pursues him to the ends of the earth for the rest of his life. Right. Even
Right.
when this is a story that has been played out in so many forms of art for so long because it is so true, I think. Right.
Well, it's the life we live.
And
World we live in right now.
and we don't know if Leroy, I wouldn't necessarily call him a criminal. We don't know when he first stole something. He may have already been in dire straits when he committed that first, as Matt points out, petty larceny. And as Leroy points out, the system isn't going to spend more to incarcerate him for 20 days than it would to just pay him his SSI and feed his family, right?
Well, that's why a lot of people you hear, like when they do something to go into prison just so they have like a place to sleep.
Yeah.
Which is even worse.
Yeah, I hear those stories. I don't know if they're true, but certainly those stories have been around for a while. But anyway, it was the point of these cases of the week are to see when we're going to push Matt to his breaking point, right? Like, or is Daredevil learning something? Because I didn't watch the first Daredevil or read the comics or anything. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, we know that Daredevil was a vigilante who was trying to like clean up crime because I don't know, because nobody else would. And so it was kind of interesting to me to see Matt maybe have a different idea about crime. Although he's always been like a defender of the people. I don't know. AJ, you're more familiar with him as a character.
I mean, what you're seeing of Matt is kind of, he's a like, all right. So when him and Foggy first graduated from law school, their plan was to defend the innocent, like just the innocent, like the ones that couldn't afford lawyers. I mean, in the original first season of the original series, they took payments in like whatever the people could afford. Like one woman gave them like a chicken,
like Doc Baker on Little House on the Prairie, who was getting paid in chickens and apples.
Yeah. So they were always, fighting for the little people. That was their whole shtick, which is why they were always broke. Since Foggy's death, Matt's kind of moved up in the world. He kind of lost that.
Okay, so that's
part, I should say.
Yeah, that's interesting. That you just said their plan was to like defend the innocent. So Leroy's not innocent and doesn't pretend to be innocent. Well,
yeah, he's in a completely different world now.
Like Matt's in a different world, you mean?
Yeah.
Like, is maybe Matt having a different idea about like who deserves defense?
Well, it's an interesting, because with Leroy, while not innocent of the crime, he is innocent in a sense because of
he's someone that
how the system has failed him.
He's not actually a bad guy.
Right.
He's just trying to like do what he has to do. And like he made a really good argument for like just wanting some dessert. Like the dignity of being a person, like the dignity of being able to have what you want when you want it, or have what you need when you need it, right? And just give him a little dignity to be able to buy a little dessert. It really spoke to me. I think maybe it spoke to a lot of the audience, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I like that case. And did you guys catch the shout out to Secret Invasion to the rest of the MCU?
Oh, when he goes, maybe it was a Skrull.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was great.
Like, no. Good tactic though there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah. So yeah, so Matt learns a lesson. Matt takes the case of the week, and Matt learns a lesson, which I guess maybe is a thing that's going on, right?
The thing that I find interesting is I keep thinking like there was another case that we're not talking about. Like the main case actually, to me, like you're right, it was about him learning a lesson, but the guy wasn't like, the case wasn't something that like was going to send him, to prison for whatever. It wasn't like a super huge deal. The biggest part of the episode was what happened with Punisher, and I feel like that was just sort of the B storyline with the case this week. The whole
Well,
stuff we just talked about.
Well, the stuff with the Punisher is more from the overarching story.
Yeah, that's true. But I just mean like this guy wasn't like in danger of going to prison for the rest of his life or anything like that. Like it wasn't a high profile big case. It was like a little thing. I mean, it was still important. I don't mean it wasn't, but like story wise, it wasn't actually that big of a case. Like I said, it was a petty theft. It wasn't.
Yeah, but I think
just find
the
it
point,
interesting.
I think the point is how something that is called petty theft, the system is vengeful and wants to increase his punishment every time until it basically ruins his life. And at what point do they start to put you away for longer periods of time for a series of petty crimes, right? Like I think that was there. I think the Punisher is a bit of a red herring, not a red herring, but he is not the main character of the show. Matt is. And I mean, we can talk about his appearance after some other things. I mean, it is the big reveal and the big thing of this episode, but I'm not sure to what extent he will be implicated as a major. I mean, he's part of Matt's development, right? Like he says, Matt, you don't want my help, you want my permission. Right?
Yeah.
Like Matt is becoming increasingly frustrated, and why does he go to Frank Castle? Now I had to Google about him because I didn't watch the first 3 seasons of Daredevil, and I didn't watch The Punisher, and I didn't watch Jessica Jones, all these things that he appears in that really tell his story. And he appears to be in retirement and possibly a recluse underground right now.
So the reason Matt went to him was because Matt found the shell casing from Hector's murder.
Right.
And somebody engraved the Punisher symbol on the bullet.
But he knows it wasn't Frank. He knows
it wasn't Frank, but that's the point. He's going to Frank saying, hey, somebody's out there doing shit in your name. Yeah. And like he said, like, I mean, that whole scene, I mean, Frank is 100% right in that entire scene. Like, Matt went there, like he said, you're here to ask for permission. Like, you want to go out and hurt people. You're asking me, he like, it's like, he's basically saying, you need somebody to say it's okay for you to go hurt, because Matt's been angry since Foggy's death. He's been closed off. Now Hector is murdered on the streets for no reason other than being a vigilante.
Matt outed him.
Yeah. So he's angry, he's hurt, he's, upset. Matt's just dealing with all these emotions that he's not dealing. He's dealing with all these emotions that he's not dealing with.
Wait, you said he outed him. They know his identity then?
Matt outed White Tiger.
Well, he had White Tiger.
I thought you meant Punisher. Never mind. I mixed up.
Everybody knows who the Punisher is.
Oh, well, I didn't know that because I didn't watch the show.
It's a known fact in this universe. It's a known fact who he is, right?
Okay, yeah. Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, he never wore a mask. Everybody knows who Frank Castle is.
He never. Okay, so it wasn't they found out. He just didn't wear a mask. Got it.
Yeah. He's a very angry man, and he didn't try to hide his identity.
I don't think I've ever seen a Punisher in anything, so I know nothing about him.
His whole family got killed in a gang shootout, and that turned him into the Punisher, I think, right?
Okay, I was gonna say I get that his kid was dead, but that was the only thing I know. It's just because.
And then there's a whole bunch of Kingpin with him and whatever. But anyway, I mean, yeah, AJ and Jamie, he goes. Matt comes to Frank and is like, "Oh, guess what? I found your thing on the shell casing. People are like impersonating you." And Frank's like, "Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Like that's not why you came here." And Matt knows Frank doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
Like Frank, is Frank also retired and over it, or he's like Frank's not?
I don't know what he's been up to honestly since it's been 7 years. Why he's hiding out underground in the city, I'm not really sure at the moment.
All right.
I don't know if he's still, I mean, he's still got an arsenal and a half down there. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what he's been up to, and they don't really tell us.
Yeah, and Matt makes this remark about you're hiding down here, and he says, "I'm not hiding. You walked right in here," which is kind of a good point, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I agree. We all agree, right? Like Matt did go there for permission. He's looking for somebody to say, yeah, these guys deserve to be beaten up. We need a vigilante out there helping the people. Whatever he's looking for, he's hoping angry Frank is going to give it to him. And Frank's like, stop being a baby and just decide what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So when I say like, I don't know if I don't mean the Punisher. When I said red herring, that's not the right word. I said it because we just said it 20 times in the last show. But is he really going to be like a character, or was this a cameo or an appearance? I don't know.
See, that I'm not sure about, because the only scene from the trailer with the Punisher in it, we just saw. So
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if there's more with him.
So could it just be appearance and maybe setting up a Punisher show?
Yeah, well, because Punisher's going to get he's
spin-off.
getting a movie special on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay, so it could be setting that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so in other news, there's a lot going on with the mayor, with Mayor Fisk, and with his what's this guy's name?
Daniel.
I want to call him I was going to call him the Gandolfini kid, which is who he is, right?
I'll tell you what, I did not know that he had gained, because the last time I saw Gandolfini's kid, he the hell did I see him in? Oh, the Many Saints of Newark. I didn't know he had gained weight, and when I first saw him, I was like, holy shit, he's the spitting image of his father.
He is. So yeah, Daniel's kind of dopey. I mean, he's inexperienced and he's a kid, and
he's trying to impress the ladies.
One of who is a famous online,
which he knew and already
journalist.
screwed him once, like idiots.
Yeah, which he knew, and he's already like had a problem with her, even though they're like BFF.
Yeah, I don't understand why he's friends with her after what she did before.
Well, in his defense, he did admit to taking ketamine while he was at the club. Yeah. And I guess ketamine makes you run your mouth. I don't know what it does, except that it killed Matthew Perry. So it all comes out. The mayor's having a very bad day when this comes out, right? Like, much like me, the mayor is really sick of hearing "we built this city" over and over again in every show.
I like that song. No, I don't think he's had a problem with it. That was actually really funny that he goes to the Latvian embassy and they're singing it in Latvian, which I thought was really funny.
It was.
I don't think it was the fact they were singing it. They were bad.
Yeah, and he was annoyed at that point, so it made you annoyed. Yeah,
you guys, that song is in every show that we watch, right? It was in
Paradise. That's it, right?
It was in Paradise.
It was in Paradise about 1,000 times. It's in this show. It's also in that toilet paper commercial.
That is the city. I don't understand why it's in that toilet paper commercial.
We quilt the city. It's quilted toilet paper.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, that's what they're saying.
They're saying we quilt this city.
See,
Yeah.
I've never paid that much attention to it
Oh my
to know
God.
that they were saying that we
It
quilt
took me
this
a while to
city.
catch on. It's we quilt this
Now
city.
it makes sense because I never understood until
Yeah.
just now. Thank you,
Yeah.
Karen.
So I also have to
believe
hear.
we spent a couple minutes talking about a toilet paper commercial.
I mean,
Sorry.
when they wrote this show, they didn't know We Quilt the City was going to be on nonstop. So I'll forgive them for that. But so the mayor has a bad day having to do like all the things he doesn't like, all the boring parts and the hard parts of being, the part where Sheila had said to him when they go to the Latvian like community center or whatever it is, and he's like, "Why are we
It's the
here?" And she
embassy.
says, "The embassy." She says, "It's the job, Mr. Mayor." Like he's not into that part, right?
No.
He doesn't want to do the schmoozing.
He doesn't want to
At
do the
least
work.
that part of it, yeah.
The representation, the meeting your constituents, the dealing with the people who voted for you, the hearing people. Like it's not, like yes, the schmoozing, but beyond that, he just wants to be the guy that goes on TV and has ideas and tells people what to do, which is what a mob boss does, right?
Well, like the scene down at the waterfront
At Red
when
Hook.
he's like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and they're like, no, you can't do that, and he's like, why not? He's like, just do it. What do we have to do to do it? He's like, just do it.
Yeah, and it's like first we need a feasibility study, and before we do that, we have to get the council to approve it, and before we do that, we have to get
not for nothing. I will say this. I know that his motives are nefarious, but it really is ridiculous. Like what he's trying to do on paper, what he's trying to do sounds good and helpful to the community. It's ridiculous the amount of red tape you have to go through to do something good.
Yeah, but we know that he's not trying to do something good. It has to do with Red Hook. He's trying to take over Red Hook.
But my point is, if it wasn't Wilson Fisk doing this, who we don't trust, and it was somebody decent, the amount of red tape that they would have to go through to do something good is ridiculous.
Yeah, this is why we have rules that allow everyone in the community to know it's happening and not get like the unions that will be busted by this happening. Should have a right to know that it's coming and comment on it. And like this is why these things. Could there be fewer regulations? Probably.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like something that could maybe take a month to do all that. It takes like 6 months to a year to even get started.
Well, it's good in this case because this guy is
it's not
in this case, yes,
the good things. It's there to
this guy is a bad actor. So when Sheila was saying no, first we have to do this and we have to do that, I thought he was going to fire her. He was not. This is a man who I feel like
you don't say no to.
I feel like his temper is always just barely contained.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought Sheila might see the end of her like career in public service at that moment, but for some reason, Fisk is able to control himself a little bit. Is it me or does he just always seem to have this barely controlled?
No, he did. You're right. He does.
Oh no, it absolutely.
That's why, it was already getting worse. Like first, he had to listen to the kids sing, and you could tell he was already like, "Nope, that's enough." Like, no, thank you.
And it was only by like obsequious groveling that Daniel managed to keep his job, right?
Yeah,
but that was
loyalty, and I think that he realized that's what he's got in him. But he's like, you do it again, you're fucked.
It was the groveling and loyalty that kept him his job, because Fisk feeds off of that.
Yeah, well, nobody likes him. He wants people to listen to him and to like him, and plus Daniel always walks around telling how great he is too.
He won the election. That should be assuage his ego to say nobody likes him. A lot of people like him. He was elected, right?
That's true. But Daniel is always walking around saying how great he is, and I think he likes that too. He feeds off.
Daniel's like an obsequious suck up. Because Daniel has nothing to offer. He has no skills or experience right.
He backed into the job.
Yeah, he was basically like right place, right time when he got that job. He's terrible. So I want to ask you about Latvia. There were 2 Latvian connections in this episode, which seemed like a lot and seemed to be foreshadowed. And Jamie and I talked about this a little bit in the watch party last week, and whoever else was around, right? Like, is it a coincidence that first Matt, when he goes to the DA to negotiate on Leroy's behalf, and he says, he comments on how, oh, are you Latvian? You smell like a honey bun or something like that, right?
Yeah, and
which
that
is a little creepy. In a normal work environment, you should not comment on how people smell, but whatever.
It's a blind thing.
Yeah, that's what he says. It's his superpower or whatever.
And then shortly after that, we see the mayor go to the Latvian embassy for Latvia Day. Like, is that a coincidence? Is that foreshadowing? Is the Latvian mafia going to come around? Like, am I the only person who noticed that?
Well,
I don't know.
I thought it was interesting because during Falcon and Winter Soldier, there was Latvian connections, if you remember.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and this is all a shared universe now.
Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody in the MCU is just a big Latvian fan. I don't know.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
Now,
but
I will say I'm disappointed because when I watched the episode, when he was talking to the lawyer, I misheard him, and apparently a lot of the people on the internet did also. I thought he said Latveria.
what's that?
I'm going to tell you. Latveria is the fake country that Dr. Doom comes from.
Oh.
So I thought that was
ooh,
yeah. And then it turned out that a bunch of us misheard
it. And it's Latvian. Sorry, Fantastic Four nerds. Not yet.
Mm-mm.
So
Well, I thought it was kind of a lot of Latvia for one episode. So I guess we'll see about that.
yeah, I'm sure there's going to be something where it's going.
Are we also worried about Matt's girlfriend being the marriage counselor to these 2?
No, I'm more worried about Adam.
Yeah. I forgot about Adam. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too, is they've kind of through a lot of this, like you know that Kingpin's bad, but like sometimes he does good things, and it's kind of like he's walking that line, and they make you. I feel like it's supposed to make you question it every once in a while, but then they're like, nope, he's got a guy in prison.
You know, I really like that scene during the therapy session when she's like, you know, Heather calls it an affair, and Fisk is like, it wasn't an affair. He's like, it's not like a dinner party.
Like, well, what do you call it?
Yeah.
He called it a betrayal.
Yeah, and then Vanessa's like, well, you left, and I had no idea where you were, right? She's like, he left.
But
she
he
didn't
left
know
because he was in the hospital, right? That's what keeps
No, he just left, like gone,
No.
like didn't know
I
where
thought
he
when
went,
he
when he was coming back.
happened.
No,
Okay.
this is not when Echo shot him in the eye. This is before that, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Echo shot him in the eye after that.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. See, I totally missed that then. Okay.
No, she actually, I think in an early episode, Vanessa mentions that she sat by his side in the hospital.
Yeah.
But
I thought she didn't want to wait for him or whatever.
After he recovered from that,
he was missing, MIA,
Yeah.
finding himself. He was so distraught over his adopted daughter shooting him in the eye that he, I don't know, went into seclusion or something. So like Vanessa is not wrong that he disappeared. She didn't know like where he was or if he was coming back, and so she got involved with this Adam guy. I mean,
Well,
was
he
she?
didn't kill him. He promised he wouldn't kill him. He didn't.
Well, he said he didn't hurt him.
No, yeah, he didn't.
and then he doesn't know where he is.
Well, that part's a lie.
Well, he did hurt him. That's why he had bloody knuckles in that scene.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, he didn't kill him.
And Adam looks somewhat the worse for wear. And, you know, Kingpin says, we just had a conversation and I didn't hurt him. I mean, he's a big fat liar, right?
Well,
But
no
he's
kidding.
also kind of psycho. Like, he's a classic example of a bad guy who thinks he's a good guy. And in this case, I think it's because of his grandiose ego, right?
Yeah.
That he believes he's like a visionary or whatever. And I believe more and more with every scene, every episode, that it is
You know what I
Vanessa.
just thought of? You guys don't know something very important. Oh, actually, Karen, you kind of know because of Hawkeye. So, but I don't know if you remember this. So, part of the reason Fisk views himself as a good guy because he had a very rough childhood. His father was his father beat him and his mother.
Yeah.
And then Fisk in turn murdered his father with a hammer.
We saw that in Echo.
Yeah. I didn't know if you remembered that. So he's, you know, always seen himself as, you know, the good guy. You know, he saved his mother from, you know, the tyranny of his father.
Yeah, like by killing his father, he saved his mother,
Yeah.
but he's also was kind of racked with guilt.
Psychotic.
Yeah. Yeah, he's totally, yeah. But I feel like more and more like Vanessa is kind of the brains of the criminal operation. She obviously did a fantastic job with it while he was missing, kept it running, made even more money. I don't know that Kingpin really likes that, having someone do a better job than he did, right? But she's not distracted by all of his like grandiosity and psychosis and general craziness, right?
No, because she's just as crazy.
Is she? She
Well,
seems very.
Let me put it
stable.
this way.
She's not as overtly crazy.
She's not as overtly crazy because I kind of feel like anybody that would know everything that the Kingpin has done and is about and be willing to be like, yeah, I'm right by your side, is just as fucking crazy.
All right. Fair enough.
But no, Jamie put it perfectly though. It's not as overtly. She's much better at concealing, whereas Fisk is a lot more in your face.
Yeah.
So the scene where Heather asks Vanessa, do you feel safe with him? And Vanessa very condescendingly says, oh, how sweet of you. But no, I'm fine. And then later, when she speaks to her husband, he says, is that what she asked? And she's like, yeah, this is what I told her about my, like, I don't know if I felt like that was foreshadowing of like what could happen to Vanessa, but I also don't know if she's such a part of his intertwined storyline that would this show ever kill her off, or is she too much a part of it, of everything Kingpin? I don't know.
Based on, all right, so from the first 3 seasons, everything he went through to be with her, you kind of see it in this, but without knowing the history, she is safe with the Kingpin. She's safe with Fisk because he would never actually hurt her.
I think he actually loves her in his own twisted way.
He absolutely does. I mean, he in the season 3, like, so she fled the country because they were going to charge her as an accessory to everything, all the crimes he had committed. And he left, so she left the country, and then he conspired this whole thing to get her back. Like the way, like he basically started working with the FBI to get her back. Granted, he was playing the FBI the whole time, but that was
well, that was their mistake.
Yeah, he did it for her, in other words. So.
But yeah, he has always been everything has since he's met her, everything has been about her.
Okay.
So if they were to go in a storyline where she wasn't safe with him, I'd be very surprised.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you. It's always great to have your perspective. I guess, is that really it that happens this week? Because it culminates with the Punisher bit that we already discussed, right? Oh, no. It doesn't culminate with the Punisher.
Oh, yeah, Muse.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, I didn't know about that guy, right? Before, like, I had to look up Muse a little bit and see. So he's a serial killer who believes he's an artist, right? Like the graffiti that we're seeing around, he's a graffiti artist / serial killer.
Yeah, the sprayed blood paint.
Yeah, I forgot they showed Muse finally at the end.
And he has kidnapped this guy who you can see is thrown over his shoulder in this picture. And at the end of the episode is beginning to, I think, drain his blood, right?
Yeah.
It's actually funny because Muse has actually been in every episode. You just haven't known that who he was.
Well, like at the beginning of this episode, there's a when the kids are out at the club, behind them is a mural to El Tigre, right?
Yeah.
And so probably Muse painted
and it's
it,
signed,
right?
and the angle they show it, it's actually, you see that it's signed Muse.
Oh, it is.
Well, how is he in the other episodes though? Do you mean like that?
He's just in like the scenes. Like there's this that mural of the Kingpin when he first gets elected. And you see somebody standing. That's Muse actually standing in front of it, painting the mural. Okay. Like you don't know who he. If you're not a comic fan, you don't even know that he's somebody until the reveal at the end of this episode. Right. But he was just like sporadically seen painting throughout each episode.
So I looked him up. His name is Muse. In the comics, it's never been discovered what his real name is.
No.
And he's very bad. I kind of assume that this is the guy that's going to bring bring Daredevil back. Like will this be the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking too.
Or will Matt and Punisher both come out to try to get him? I don't know. That's another reason why I think maybe Punisher is only a small part of this, because like we have another character being introduced. I got to tell you, I'm not a huge fan of it being a serial killer angle. If that's like, we have a serial killer now, and I'm like, oh, a serial killer. Now I'm watching a Marvel that's a serial killer show, and I'm just not. I'm not a huge fan of the serial killer genre. Although at least he appears to be killing a man and not a child or a woman, like all serial killers on every show. But like, I feel like, I don't know. I think I said to Jamie recently, Dark Marvel might just not be my thing. Like, this feels like some of those Dark Knight movies where like Gotham City also is like the police are fully corrupt and crime and garbage are everywhere. And right? Like, I feel like I've seen this and I didn't like that either. Like, I fell asleep during multiple Batman movies. I might just not be a fan of this very dark vision of Marvel. I might just like my superheroes with blonde hair and a magic hammer.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's just me.
Your taste is your taste. I mean,
yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I'll hold my opinion until I see a little bit more of it.
Okay, there.
I mean, I don't really mind it as long as I don't want to like watch a bunch of stuff of like people being tortured and stuff. But if it's just a serial killer, I'm fine with it. But yeah, it's not really
just a serial killer.
No, but I mean, like, I don't mind it being a story because I mean, I watch a lot of detective shows and things like that more than you do, but I don't. It's not really like comic book-y to me. Like, it's not. It's less super. Like you said, like I think you're saying, like it's not like the kind of superhero stuff I'm used to necessarily seeing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily bother me, I guess, as much. I don't even, and we keep saying, like, I don't mind that he hasn't been Daredevil still, and I feel like I would even keep watching this if he wasn't and be okay with it, which is surprising because I didn't think I'd like the the courtroom aspect of it, but I haven't minded it.
I don't know. It might be that this show might not, at a time when I personally feel like our entire legal and system of government is being further corrupted against the people. That might be another reason why I'm just not enjoying this. Like, just reflects the news too much. Maybe this show is not an escape.
You know what's ironic is this is actually a storyline.
It's old, right? It's old.
Yeah, it's just interesting that it coincides with our current predicament.
Yeah. It might reflect the news too much for me right now. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't yeah, I prefer the courtroom and the development of Matt a little more. I think we were warned this was going to be a pretty violent series, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it really hasn't been that much except for that first big fight with Blind Spot.
With Blind Spot,
that guy that he beat up in
with
the
Bullseye.
Like
Blind
Bullseye.
Spot. I'm like, what the
Like
hell?
Blind Spot.
Sorry, Bullseye.
At
It
least
starts
I
with a
knew.
B.
I knew what you meant, but
You knew who I meant.
I know what you meant too, but
like,
it's actually funny.
You get Blind Spot?
You know what the best part is? You said that, and I just like shot a glare at the computer like you were going to see me.
What's funny though is Blind Spot's kind of the opposite of Bullseye.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, Punisher was kind of a violent. I mean, I guess maybe this was a violent.
Oh, Punisher was very violent,
right?
No,
yeah.
Daredevil. When Daredevil was first on air, it was one of the most violent shows on Netflix until the Punisher aired.
So
Punisher
we were warned.
Matt.
We'll have nobody to complain to. We were warned.
Yeah, Punisher made Matt look like a Boy Scout.
Wow. So, well, all right. I think we successfully dissected this, right? We're running very late this week.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, all right then, guys. We'll have a much shorter show next week.
Yeah.
When we get down to only one Wheel of Time.
Yes.
Great.
I hate that Amazon does that. But anyway.
I know. It's a lot. But most people are not planning to have to talk about it after they watch it.
Fair point.
That's true.
Yep.
So, all right.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Make sure you tune into our special Yellow Jacket show on Thursday, where we have special guest Vanessa Prasad, who plays Teen Jen. And then we also have, of course, a regular live stream at 11 p.m. That's 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. And then Sunday, we have our regular live stream for the breakdown at 11 p.m. And of course, we have our watch party for Yellow Jackets when it drops Thursday night at midnight. And again, on Sunday before we do the live stream. You can find out all the information on that at the Discord messages and then the link. Please subscribe to SciFi Vision and check out all the rest of our coverage, and check out scifivision.com. And yeah, hope to see you guys for the next one. Thanks for coming. Trying to think. I feel like there's something I'm missing. My brain is blanking right now. I did not get enough sleep.
No, I think you got it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
all right,
guys. Have a good night,
all.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.